Hi, I'm Sweetie Abochi, and this is the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show. And let's start from JoyNews 8 because she once cried out for help and the nation heard her. Cancer patient Yairame Ibrahim Mahama touched thousands with her plea. Now she's received a 300,000 Ghana cedi lifeline for treatment after JoyNews aired her story. Irama Akwa has more in this report.
2 years ago, these were tears of sorrow. Today, they are tears of hope.
Ghana cedis to cover up for the rest of the money needed to purchase the medication, and then you have a cash of 10,000 for your expenses.
Yairam Ibrahim Mariama shared the story with the world, and the world responded.
People like you, I don't think it shouldn't be this way. But all the same, I'm grateful for everything. And I hope I will get the best solution. Thank you. God bless you. I'm grateful to everybody who has supported me. And I hope that whatever treatments I'll take will not be in vain.
A story aired on JoyNews, and in just a few weeks, support poured in. She received 147,000 cedis from benevolent individuals. Then came a life-changing gesture. Businessman and philanthropist Alhaji Prince donated 140,000 cedis for her treatment and an additional 10,000 cedis to support her during the difficult months ahead.
Today, we are making a donation of 140,000 Ghana cedis, so you can raise up to the 300,000 needed. We also have his assurance that as and when we proceed with the treatment, if there is need to come in and support more, he is more than willing to support. There are many people who wouldn't have survived this, but Yayirame is a strong lady, and I believe after the treatment, her story will become an inspiration to others, and she's a humanitarian herself. The work she was doing at the hospital, and those who have encountered her before this situation will tell you that she's an amazing soul.
God bless you. I really appreciate it.
The journey has not been easy. She's already endured grueling treatment after her breast cancer spread to her brain. And now, with 300,000 cedis raised, she's preparing to restart treatment with new hope.
I hope for the donation. I'm very grateful, and I know it will take me to get treatments. Just that I want the right treatments to be given to me. So I think that's my main focus right now.
From tears of despair to tears of gratitude, Yairam's fight is not yet over, but now she's no longer fighting alone. Irama's report for JoyNews.
Thank you to every single person who sent in a cedi or more. We are grateful. Now, every day, people leave home and never return. They are victims of road crashes that end in tragedy. The Trauma Emergency and Acute Care Medicine Research Network says over the past decade, road accidents have caused a staggering number of injuries, with more than half dying. Irabna Akwe will tell us more in this report.
Site Principal Investigator at Team RN, Dr. Daniel Osei-Kwame, says over 82% of all cases of severe or moderate injuries are as a result of road accidents, emphasizing that Ghanaian roads remain unsafe to ply.
Once in a while, we hear of an accident on the road, and the whole Ghana, gets up to talk about it. But we need to go beyond that. Over 82% of all cases of severe injuries or even moderate injuries are as a result of road traffic accidents.
Since its inception, Team RN has been at the forefront of advancing trauma care through innovative research, education, and networking among healthcare providers. The head of the Research and Development Unit at CAT, Dr. Evans Yeboah, observed most traumas are related to head injuries. He added that though cases of injuries are on the rise in Ghana, there are inadequate resources to care for patients that are admitted with severe cases.
And if you look across the country, we have a very limited resource base for neurosurgery care. And so, whereas we are seeing the numbers increasing, we don't have a lot of people to support the care in that area. So it's an area that we need a lot of preventive interventions, a lot of education to our public, whilst the nation as a whole builds its capacity in terms of neurosurgery care to handle some of these things.
Reporting for Joy News, Erabna Akwe, Kumasi.
In other stories, Upper West Regional Minister, lawyer Posing Charles Lawunga, says reviving the region's once thriving cotton industry could help address unemployment. He described the sector once dubbed, quote, white gold, as a major source of income and jobs in the past. Speaking to the media 2 months after assuming office, he expressed commitment to restoring operations at a defunct cotton ginnery in Tumu, which shut down after the collapse of the Ghana Cotton Company. JoyNews' Rafiq Salam tells us more.
Lawyer Posing Charles Lawunga took over arguably the most coveted political position in the Upper West region on February 7, having his guile firmly fixed on energy, health, education, security, agriculture, and agribusiness, leading the charge. It is now 2 months since he sat on the saddle and opened up to the media on what he's been able to do so far.
We should be able to get a soya factory in Funsi, Sisawa East. We should be able to get a corn factory or mill in Sisala West. And the last one is what I call my baby, which is that I want to revive cotton as also a means of livelihood. Because for now, you take everything we generally use as cotton.
The Tumu Cotton Ginnery was established some 42 years ago with the aim of adding value to the cotton produced in the Upper West region, particularly the Sisala Enclave, and to give employment to millions of people in the area. Operations of the ginnery was however halted after 3 decades of its operations following the folding up of the Ghana Cotton Company Limited in 2011. Several attempts to revive the cotton industry and the ginnery by successive governments has been unsuccessful, leaving heavy machines valued at thousands of Ghana cedis under lock and key. Other farm machines like tractors are left under the mercy of the weather. Charles Lawunga revealed that a committee will be set up to revive the cotton ginnery.
Fortunately, the UNHCR became interested, and on grounds that they had seen cotton being a driver of the economy in Benin, and therefore if that could be done, it could help increase both our local economy and also as well as give us gainful employment. So as a result, they are also interested in finding a way of supporting us. Currently with the cotton ginnery, we do not know what the relationship is with the current occupant, with previous government. And for that reason, when the committee is set up, likely to be headed by Professor Canton, who has been in Agric for a long time and is retired now, we will be looking at ownership, look at the nature of the equipment, even though I know up to now it will be obsolete. Then how do we get new equipment that will be viable for our purpose? The second one is for them to look at whether we will start by owning government plantations. And when it picks up, we will encourage the private sector to take it up.
Turning to education, lawyer Charles Luwanga stated that his plan is to give a facelift to educational institutions in the region to meet the required standards.
As a result, we have submitted 2 different proposals to the Minister of Education, who is willing and able to do everything within his powers to assist in infrastructure development, both in UBIS and Dr. Hilal Liman Technical University. As you may know, Dr. Hilal Liman Technical University is the only university technical which has no hostel in the country, Ghana. And therefore, it is an emergency that we must all ensure that once we're able to get hostel facilities, it enables students to stay on campus, it enables us to take more intake, and that will help grow the local economy of the people of Upper West region.
The issue of security was also on the front burner of the Upper West Regional Chairman of the Security Council.
Apart from 1 or 2 encounters we've had about a few robberies around the Sisala West Belt, then we have agreed that we will now put a patrol team on the belts in the Sisala West area. That has started. It has reduced the number of road or highway robbery that was happening in the Sisala West area.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
In a bold move towards bridging the gender gap in the paint industry, Coral Paints has rolled out its Women in Color program, an initiative aimed at equipping women with practical skills in painting and surface finishing. Jennifer August has more in this report.
Women in Color initiative is more than just a technical training. It offers women a pathway to sustainable income, economic independence, and social upliftment. General Manager for Coral Paint, Celestine Income, says the program is a clear reflection of the company's commitment to gender inclusion and economic empowerment.
Women in Color is not just a training program. It is a powerful initiative aimed at empowering women facing socio-economic challenges by providing them with the right skill set to become professional painters.
Also speaking at the launch, Louise Callas, Business Development Manager, emphasized the importance of purpose-driven work, saying the initiative helps women reclaim their identity and gain financial autonomy.
As part of the training, they will be sent to some of our joint companies that work with us, painters that have been long working with us, that will be, they will teach them on site on how to do the proper job they have learned here with me. So they will be inserted in those companies, and of course they will be also have our support, our backup to also promote their jobs as women, whatever they are needed.
CEO of Ineka Youth Foundation, the program is a step in the right direction. She urged industries to reimagine male-dominated spaces by making room for more women.
You train a woman, you train the whole world. Now these women are coming into the space. They are going to be the direct beneficiaries. But I can tell you the 20 women we are starting this project with, they are going to be having indirect impact on their families that will not have food because they don't have any work to do. Now we are proud to say that these women are going out there, and many women, over hundreds of women, are going to be beneficiaries of this project.
As Ghana pushes for greater inclusivity and gender-balanced development, initiatives like Coral Women in Color is doing more than just transforming lives. They are reshaping entire industries. Jennifer August report read to you.
A concerned women's group in the Central Region is appealing to Ghanaians and the Council of States to join the call to halt the petition process for the removal of the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Gertrude Tokono. Now, the group, in a statement read by its spokesperson, Vivian Gasol, stated that the 3 petitions made are not in the interest of the country, expressing their worry about how women in high positions are treated. Abigail Isel Nkrumah in this report.
Since the time news broke that petitions have been made to the President for the removal of the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokono, Issues have been raised about how positions are revoked when there is a change of government. A group in the central region called Concerned Women's Group is adding their voice to the matter. Sharing the group's concerns, the spokesperson of the group, Vivian Gasol, worried that petitions and similar actions are not done for good reason, calling for care on how women in positions are treated.
Statements by a Concerned Women's Group in the central region on the 3 purported petitions for the removal of the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Gertrude Araba Isabasa Kitokonu. We, as a Concerned Women's Group in the central region, have been disturbed and worried since the news of the release of a statement by the Honorable Kwachi Ofosu, the spokesperson of His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama, and the Minister for Government Communications, to the effect that His Excellency the President has forwarded 3 petitions seeking the removal of the Chief Justice to the Council of State. Whereas we do not oppose due democratic process laid down by the 1992 Republican Constitution, whereas we refrain from questioning any citizen's democratic right to initiate and activate any such process prescribed by the Constitution, we are nonetheless extremely worried that such moves may be embarked upon, not for the good of it, but purely, patently, and undoubtedly for a parochial end.
The group also urged Ghanaians and the Council of State to join in the call to halt the process.
The immensity of the problems and challenges that have besieged our country over the years, and the resounding support given His Excellency to pull the efforts of all Ghanaians, irrespective of political, tribal, and religious affiliations, to help in nation building, makes this process to remove the Chief Justice from office needless. We are by this statement calling on all Ghanaians to join in our call to halt this process, which is definitely not in the interest of Mother Ghana and shall render us polarized and divided however it ends. We hereby also, in all humility and in a special way, call on the Council of State as the nation's special and unique class of persons who have seen and lived it all, and with very rich individual life experiences, and also a very good sense of history of our dear country, to see through the lines and without any hesitation unequivocally step in to prevent this removal process as not one that will heal and unite Mother Ghana.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lissel Nkoma reports for JoyNews.
Business Update is up next with Benjamin Akapo.
Let's get into the stories now. And government has revealed it is currently engaging relevant stakeholders to help appreciate the full impact of recent tariff hikes on the Ghanaian economy. There's more in this report.
The revelation by government is coming at a time that there have been several projections that Ghana could be losing millions of dollars as a result of the action by President Donald Trump. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Siama, at a recent Monetary Policy Committee meeting noted that the current global trade war could hurt Ghana's economy if not well managed. The governor maintained that it could come with some shocks for the economy in the area of inflation and stability of the Ghana cedi. The Bank of Ghana has also told Joy Business it is currently putting together its numbers to help quantify the real impact on the economy when it comes to inflation and even the banking sector. One is not clear for now about the timelines here when it comes to government and the stakeholder engagement that is currently undertaken. But it is clear that this action by the US government could impact badly on Ghana's budget and the projected revenue going forward. We also note that majority of Ghana's exports are exempted from the tariff hike because of the Free Trade Pact AGOA. That initiative should end by close of this year, and there are clear indications that the Trump administration may not extend this Free Trade Pact.
In our second story, the managing director of the Tema oil refinery, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana, has pledged his commitment to reducing losses at the refinery while optimizing efficiency to attract investors to revamp the facility. It follows towards exceeding its revenue target by 150% despite growing challenges. Dr. Suleimana made this known in an interview on The Pulse.
We need to do on our side is what we are currently doing now. Let's be phenomenally efficient. Let's cut the losses. We have a policy we call zero tolerance for losses. And if we can stay on course and do that, partners will be interested in partnering with us. I think the atmosphere is very clear. The fact that people are so much interested in partnering with us indicates that there is still credibility in what TOR can do. And even the terminal business that I talked about, the loading gantry, the tank farm and other, that still require retooling. A lot of retooling is required. And I can tell you also that a lot of people are interested in supporting us to do that. How our contribution, like I mentioned, let's say when it comes to the main refinery or the terminal business or whatever, usually we do partnership in terms of you bring your equity.
Right.
We can do a kind of BOT, that's one model, build, operate and transfer. We can give like 5 to 10 concessionary period. You know, we give it to you on concessionary period. You operate it within that period, you recoup.
Right.
Based on the fact that you recoup your investment and return the facility back to us to run. So at the end of the day, what the partnership will done, Elton, two things. The capital injection is guaranteed, and then an efficiency, I think, will also be guaranteed. And when these two things happen, I believe we're going to tend to.
It's a wrap for business. Let's cap off the AM News now.
Yes, thank you, Ben, for serving us business updates. And it's a wrap indeed for the AM News Bulletin on the show. The conversations begin now, starting with the news review. And we're back on your screens in a bit. Please stay. This is the AM show across Ghana's 16 regions, live on X Spaces, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. The show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. And before we introduce our guest and begin reviewing the newspapers, I have a question for you. Are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Then Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit. You want to invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at affordable costs and also with flexible payment options. At Waylead Properties, we provide you 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay a memorable one. Give us a call now on these numbers, 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also visit our website www.waylead.org for more information. Benjamin will tell you more.
Well, it is a fact that we know every year thousands of Ghana's brightest minds flock away. They seek better prospects abroad, leaving a gap in our internal workforce. But the question, how can Ghana inspire its talent to stay right here in Ghana? I'd invite you to join David Ofosu-Dorte, Professor Mary Setrana, and Her Excellency Dr. Amina Gurib Fakim, former President of Mauritius, at the 12th installment of the Ishmael Yamson and Associates Business Roundtable to discuss managing the talent exodus, leveraging private-public partnerships for growth. The date to note is the 7th of May, 2025. The venue is the Labadi Beach Hotel. The time is 9 a.m. If you'd like to register, text your name and organization to 0530 117 202 or shoot an email to info@ieyamson.com. We kickstart our news review now. Joining us in the studio, Dr. Ikwe Amuako. She's with the MPP's Communications Directorate. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
You're looking good.
Thank you. You too. I mean, both of you, as always.
Your thoughts for us this morning?
Very brief. I'd just like to revisit the matter of our car waivers. In fact, today is a plea because the issue is deteriorating, getting out of hand.
How has it deteriorated?
You know, as I always say, the matter of the car waiver is not a matter of the government finding money to pay for the cars at the port. It's as simple a matter as issuing a duty waiver so that the cars are able to be cleared. So the fact that it's taking so long, it is very clear to all of us that it's just a matter of lack of political will to do it, or just like not an interest in the matter. What makes this so serious is that this is it is a matter of contracts between the GMA and the Ministry of Health. And issues of contracts should not be hinged on who is in power at that moment. It shouldn't be the case that this contract...
So it's a matter of contract between whom and whom?
Ghana Medical Association and then the Ministry of Health. It's in our conditions of service, which is renegotiated every 3 years. So until the existing conditions of service is renegotiated, it's expected that everything in there will be binding on the government. So we'll call on them again to have mercy on the young doctors who have several vehicles stuck at the port, accruing charges day in, day out, to listen to our pleas and help with that. As we are saying now, we've even hedged our expectations to the point that we are not even talking about future vehicles that we want to import. We just want the backlog that's at the port and has been at the port since January to be cleared, so that at that point we can then decide what to do. So that's my very humble plea to the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health this morning.
Have you had any official engagements?
Yes, GMA has been engaging with them since January. The last batch of clearance was given, I think, on 2nd January 2025. So it's not something that has not started. About 2 or 3 batches of the cars have been cleared prior to this period. And speaking from the MPP, it's something that we were hoping to enshrine so that it will not be hinged on the whims of whoever is in government at that time. But unfortunately, we didn't get the nod. But as I say, this is something that as doctors have already negotiated for in our current conditions of service. So it's just a matter of the government honoring that contract.
Okay.
Just to stay a bit on there, because this has been, as far as I remember, from the early 2000s, we've gone here back and forth and all of that. In fact, just a few days ago, I don't know whether it was yesterday or a few days ago, I was actually pitching, for you guys. I always do that from time to time. But the question I also have is, when you talk of lack of political will, less than 3 months into this administration's tenure, I've known that even in the past, sometimes it's gone on for protracted lengths of time. I agree with you. Maybe it should be formalized so that it's not at the whims and caprices of any administration. But at the same time, you say there's a lack of political will. You say there's a contract and it's expected that. Is it a binding situation where willy-nilly, no matter what, it must be done?
It's like CC. So most labor unions have conditions of service agreements with their employers. So in this case, GMA has a conditions of service agreement with the Ministry of Health, and that is a contract. So that's all we are seeking to do. And when I say a matter of political will, most of the processes that are involved in this this duty waiver have already happened. The GMA itself has so many internal processes to make sure that this scheme is not abused. That takes some time. That has already been done. And it was forwarded to the ministry. Has already
been done by
the GMA.
By the GMA.
By the GMA some time ago. And so this was forwarded to the Ministry of Health. The former Minister of Health, the Honorable Okuboy, was able to assent to some of them and forward it to the then Minister of Finance, who approved it. So this was about 2nd January. So this is not a matter of they just brought in the
So
cars.
it was done in the transitional period, right before the new administration
and
took
these
over.
cars were imported even before the election. So it's been in the pipeline for a very long time. And as I said, if it was a matter of government committing funds, then we can understand the delay. But to me, it's almost as simple as just signing the waiver so we can take it to the port. That's what I mean by...
It's good that you say to you, but at the same point, I can also feel your pain as doctors because demurrage and other things will hit in. So at the port, the longer something stays,
and as I told
the more
most of them are
paying.
junior doctors. So it's a very delicate situation.
That's my last question, actually. Is this a cycle where you see how Article 71 office holders, per the current regime, if you take ex gratia today and you serve again, you will take, like some MPs have taken. I feel it should be restricted simply to fresh doctors. Now, you say that most of them are young doctors. My problem, if you've benefited once from the system, that's why some of us are pushing. If you're an Article 71 office holder and you benefit once,
you shouldn't.
That's it.
So
does that make some sense to you?
I mean, we can debate on that, but let me just bring some more clarity on our situation.
So clarify for me whether it's strictly for, let's say, doctors who are now...
You're only allowed every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years. And let's be honest, this is something that existed in the past under President Kufuor. We haven't had it for a while. It was just reinstated last year. So we haven't even had it for so long to be able to take advantage of it. But the convention now is every 5 years, and there's even a limit to the engine size. So the GMA puts in so many structures to make sure that it's not abused. And so when we go to the negotiation table, ahead of time, it doesn't become an issue of people are taking advantage of it. So they did put in a lot of stringent measures. If you are not in good standing, if you are not licensed, I mean, and these are all things that are already very strict to get your license. And I mean, even after school, you need to do about 2 years and go through a lot of other processes to get that license.
The reason I keep going back to that is that I remember in the past, it was being abused in so many ways.
Well, of course.
Which is why it was taken off. If you left it to me, I know some people have not benefited, but just like the law, it can't always be retrospective. It must be forward-looking.
Yeah.
I feel if we limited it to doctors who have now gone through the initial phases, housemanship and the rest, who obviously would face some struggles. I mean, a doctor who's been in the system for 5 years, likely would have found his or her footing and acquired a car. I have friends, I know. But I'm saying that. But I'm saying that.
You'll find a way to get
make
a
you don't
car.
talk your matter. Make you don't talk your matter for you.
It's not as simple.
Mommy knew if you are. But when it comes to these fresh ones, I know a lot of them, they struggle. Medical doctor, I agree. But I think if we limited it to them, there would be more impact. And we know that every fresh batch, so then it's constant. Every new batch, when you get to this level, you're done with your housemanship. We facilitate and you get, I think it would be better, but that's my thoughts.
My people will hate me for this, but I won't be opposed to limiting it to junior doctors. So that's for those in the first 5 years after housemanship. I mean, those are the more vulnerable in the group. And if you look at the list of people whose cars are stuck at the port, most of them are actually junior doctors. They are the ones that would want to go through the whole process because it's quite exhausting to be able to get this. So again, we hope that our pleas are heard this morning.
Okay. I like how you put it. It's a plea.
At this point,
a demand.
At this point, it's a plea because, yeah.
Let's get into the newspapers. I have the Overseer. On the front page, we have these stories. No hearing, no explanation. Adwoa Safo slams NPP's handling of disciplinary summons. Chief Justice submits response to Mahama over removal petitions. Gold Board is the economic game changer Ghana needs, according to Dr. Kasia Latoforsen. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, Ghana's first female vice president, is recovering well. Ignore malicious rumors, according to Ablakwa. And NDC Professional Forum founder, Uncle Sam P. Yali, is gone. Let me start from the story of Sarah Adwoa Safo because
I saw some EJMF tweets on. You know, the news broke yesterday, but it wasn't official, so we had to. May his soul rest in peace.
So may his soul rest in peace indeed. So yesterday, we heard that the disciplinary committee that was put together to hear Adwoa Safo's case cancelled this meeting. And she was the last person to hear about it, apparently, because some supporters, including herself, stormed the headquarters of the NPP yesterday, hoping that we would all bring some finality to this matter. But that didn't happen. And let me just read some of the things that she was saying. There was no committee sitting today, she explained. I had an engagement with a National Party officer, but there was no hearing. I'm left wondering why I was served a summons on a Sunday for a meeting that didn't take place. If there was a change of plans, why wasn't I personally informed? What do you know about this story? And from the NPP's Communications Directorate, what is the official stance?
The official stance, I'm sure, even yesterday on JoyNews, you spoke to our Deputy General Secretary, Haruna Mohammed, and she explained the issue at length. To me, I find it very uncomfortable discussing internal party matters, and people would say transparency and whatnot, but in any serious organization that wants to endure over time, secrecy or keeping certain things to yourself is very important. We can look at it throughout history. People don't just wash their dirty linen in public. You can look at it as a family that has a common goal of developing Ghana in freedom. And when families have problems, you don't come and inform the public. So I'll then go to the matter at hand. Even yesterday, the day before yesterday, the letter to postpone the hearing was made public. I saw it even on social media. And as Haruna Mohammed said yesterday, the Honorable Adwoa Safo's PA and lawyer were served. I mean, the disciplinary committee of the MPP is a standing committee. It's not an ad hoc committee that was made up for just this matter. So they have their processes, and I mean, I'll be very surprised if she wasn't served. if by some...
Well, that's what she's saying, that she wasn't personally notified that this meeting had been postponed.
I'm saying, even I saw it on social media, sweetie. And so if there was some problem within her internal staff and this matter didn't reach her, it's quite unfortunate. And we hope that it will be resolved as soon as possible. But I would not want to dwell too much on it.
But just a quick thought. I listened to Haruna Mohammed as well yesterday talking about why she could not have a hearing after being invited and other party mechanisms in place, and that not everything had to stop for Adwoa Safo. But on the back of happenings and everything, you know, with how she's expressed herself and wanting to, what signal does it send from the party? I mean, you're told to come on a certain day, you come and then nothing happens.
No, so Ben, let's clarify this. You are told to come on a certain day, other matters crop up, and you are informed that the hearing has been postponed. That's what happened. Because I'm sure even... At
what point was she informed? That's also crucial, isn't it?
Said 2 people in her camp were served. I mean, if you're trying to reach somebody of that stature, the first person you usually try to reach is her PA. And in this case, since it's a disciplinary matter, her lawyer was also informed. So that's noticed. So if there's been some miscommunication there, as I already said, it's unfortunate. But, yeah... This is not a matter to me. There's nothing wrong. These disciplinary committee hearings are postponed all the time.
Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. It's just the signaling sometimes. But I think listening to Haruna as well, he made mention of the fact that even being hauled before the disciplinary committee doesn't mean you're going to be punished per se.
These things,
you may be cautioned, you may be suspended, or whatever the situation may be.
They happen all the time. It will surprise you if I tell you some of the people who have been hauled before the disciplinary committee in the party. It happens all the time. And it's usually a big issue isn't made out of this.
Are you saying she's overreacting?
Sweetie, you're trying to box me in here.
No. Oh, no. You see, you're saying that this happens all the time. It's not an issue that you blow out of proportion and all that. So is that what she's doing?
I will stand by the fact that this is not an issue that is usually made public, and there's no back and forth in the media when somebody is hauled before the disciplinary committee, and that's...
Except she was hauled before the disciplinary committee because of her utterances in the media.
Yes, so
specifically here at JoyNews.
This becomes a very dicey situation. And again, just because of my stance of not divulging too much on party matters in the media, just as the directive said, I don't want to go into the details, but this happens all the time. Even at the regional levels, people are hauled. So there's, as I said, there's a standing committee. So they do meet to hear issues all the time. Just that this one has some media fanfare around it, which I find completely unfortunate.
You don't want to get into the details. You don't want to get hauled before the disciplinary committee.
And you are enjoying it.
You get the point.
It will go very quickly.
I promise. Yeah. So let's just leave it. I believe fear semindi no fear.
Okay. So National Identification Authority begins free Ghana card issuance in Greater Accra and urging public to report staff demanding fees, which means you're not supposed to pay anything. And the National Identification Authority has announced the commencement of the issuance of Ghana cards in the Greater Accra region starting Monday, that was yesterday, April 7th. And the exercise covers both the backlog of printed cards and new registrations at all NIA district offices. So take note. If you are yet to receive your card, please hop on it. According to the NIA, all Ghanaians who applied for card issuance, replacement or updates to their personal records since June 2023, but have not yet received their cards, can now collect them from their respective district offices where they registered. And there's a story was trending yesterday. I listened to Monday on the Pulse, but I think there's something amiss. The Nigerian businessman who was arrested near Jubilee House for blocking apartments entrance with armed men. And let me just read a bit out.
I saw Oliver Bakavomo post on that. Apparently, per his story, that's the man who... Anyway, you go ahead. You remember the airport situation?
The COVID testing.
The COVID testing.
Same guy. So National Security Operatives in a joint operation with the police and military, led by Richard Jakpa and the Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency, Mustafa Gbande, they've arrested a Nigerian businessman named Ben Peters at the Aurora apartment in Kanda near the Jubilee House. And reports suggest that it was the intervention of the president's brother played a pivotal role in actually bringing this man, some calmness to the matter.
Reining him in.
And Mustafa Kande is saying that it's not really that's not really what happened, and that they had already arrested the man before he came onto the scene. But social media is buzzing, or was buzzing yesterday, that it was because of Mr. Mahama that they were able to apprehend this man. Yeah. For your reflections,
you would expect Mustafa to do some damage control, isn't it? So, I mean, I'm not surprised.
Do you know what happened?
No, but from what we've heard from people that were on the ground, you would expect him to do some damage control. So I see his response as nothing more than damage control. And on social media, I also saw that the man was promptly released. I don't know if you've been able to confirm that, together with I don't know if I can call them a private militia, or his personal bodyguards were also released. I don't know if you've been able to verify that. So this is a very...
You mean the man's personal, did you say militia? I think you should watch your words, because there are laws against...
bodyguards. So
not bodyguards.
So what should I use? What's the
this
right...
private militia thing, you remember what's it called? The bit after Ayawasu West Wogon, those, what are they called?
Hawks.
Those groups. How come I've just forgotten?
Vigilante groups.
Vigilante groups and all of that. Militia and these things, they are not exactly... I
don't know what you can call a private armed group. So for me, I was just looking for the right English word to use.
Maybe private security. But
I didn't mean any...
Militia there.
But it's interesting to know that, well, these are all claims that have not been verified yet, that the man's private vehicles had police insignia on it. And I'm asking myself, how do we allow that, especially for a foreigner?
Exactly. I hope this...
I'm not saying something for you. I'm just giving you context for your reflection.
I know.
Interestingly, my sources tell me it didn't start now. That it's been like that for a long time since it's been in there. I'm like,
we cannot hide the fact that in this country, if you are able to accumulate a certain amount of wealth, it comes with some things. We cannot dispute that people are able to enjoy certain privileges under whoever is in power. The matter is, as a society, are we ready to do something about it? And how far do we allow these people to go? So I do hope that it's investigated and we can get to the bottom of it. The first thing is, I'm even confused. What was the issue? He was just blocking the apartment complex for what? See,
I mean, there's something in there that we all don't know yet.
Yeah.
Two things I want to run by you. On the back of this, another thing, it's interesting how, if the claims are true sometimes, and some that I've seen, certain people who get diplomatic passports in this country, it's interesting. On what basis some of these people get diplomatic passports, I don't know. But I don't want to mention names because I can't go into this without not mentioning. I don't want to do that. But some of them you see, and the person, I have a diploma, and I'm like, hey, I'm not denigrating anybody, but what's the protocol? How do people get diplomatic passports and all of it? Because the power of a diplomatic passport, what it can be used for. I mean, so
perhaps that's why Ablakwa was calling back all diplomatic passports that were issued within a certain time.
I think that happens every time there's a change in government. He even recalled us service passports of some of them, because I know people in the service who are their service passports recalled as well. So, I mean, again, it just, how much power is the state willing to relinquish to people that have achieved some success in the country?
It worries me, because people can use that, engage in nefarious activity in the name of the country, but because they are seen to be wielders of. And I also feel it's to some extent politicized. So depending on who's in power, some people's favorites may have access to these, and it shouldn't be so. It should be restricted to certain core groups of people. I mean, people of if an Angelique Kidjo, who, for example, in Benin, they decided that, look at her pedigree, Grammy Awards and all of that. If they decide, fine. But on other levels, it becomes problematic. Just a quick one on the back of this, though. The COVID-19 testing saga at the airport and everything. There have been a lot of calls for oral to get on that. Looking at how shrouded in so many issues that was, would you agree that we should investigate that on the back of these happenings and throwing ourselves about in front of edifices?
So I always maintain that one of the upsides to a change in government is that the chance and opportunity for accountability. So since we've been accused so many times of something nefarious happening with regards to that deal, why not? I'd have expected that by this time there would have been a report on all the accusations that were leveled against us by the NDC during the campaign by now already. So of course, if
are they not pursuing some of them?
I mean, have you heard anything concrete about some of the allegations that were made? Some of the allegations that were made regarding lands that were sold, it came to vetting, and apparently they were just asking questions. And now look at their approach to when a ranking member is seeking to do his job. They just go on a personal attack of character assassination. So yes, if that is an issue that they find that there's something fishy there and they want to investigate, I mean, more grease to their elbows.
Right. Let's usher in Hamza Al-Hassan Suyini into the conversation. He is from the NDC communications team. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and good morning to my colleague in the studio. And just for a point of correction, it's Hamza Saibu, not Al-Hassan.
Right.
Your colleague in the studio is Dr. Ikia Amwako.
No, that's good.
So you know her name and you can address her directly.
Okay. So we've been discussing Ajasafo's response to the no hearing, no explanation accusation from the party. Also on that Nigerian businessman who was apparently apprehended yesterday for blocking the Aurora apartment, and the intervention of Mr. Mahama, the president's brother, brought some calmness to the situation. Quick takes on these, and then we'll go to some other newspapers.
I think, first of all, when it comes to internal happenings within the New Patriotic Party, we are all clued with a democratic responsibility to be interested in what happens within that party, because it is a political party registered within the limits of our law, and so it is a public entity that must be scrutinized in terms of its internal own processes, its own internal processes. So on the basis of that, Doc, I'm simply trying to preempt possibly the conclusion that we should chop our house matter. So to lay the foundation why it is important for us to be allowed to comment when it comes to your internal happenings. I think...
But I don't think you've been barred from commenting on it, have you?
No, but I know the people I'm dealing with, so sometimes there's a need for you to set the stage and let them understand that in as much as it is their political party, we are all enjoined per our laws to be allowed to comment because it's a public entity.
And you see, Hamza, let's be fair here. If you came up today, you had some terrible issues within your party and you were jumping from media entity to media entity, and do you think your party members would be happy? Would they take it lying down? Would they not try to call you to order, rein you in some way, shape or form? Is that what you're saying?
I think that every party has its own internal mechanisms, and I made reference to that. But you see, your internal mechanisms should not be designed in such a way to stifle freedom of expression that is guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. What the Honorable Adjoa Safo did was simply to open up on some of the happenings within the party as far as her personality is concerned. I see they should do as much as possible not to confuse what happens in Parliament to what happens in the NPP head office. First and foremost, remember that all these things started happening when she was a member of Parliament. Clearly, the Ghanaian people required some level of explanation from her as far as that conduct was concerned, because she was missing in Parliament at a point in time. There were inquiries as to her whereabouts, even at the time she was serving as a Minister of State in this country. So clearly, as taxpayers, it was within our legal right to demand to know where our Member of Parliament was at the time and also a Minister of State. So these questions were asked. It is only proper for her to find the opportune time to come to respond to those allegations or to those questions that were being asked. The fact that in answering those questions, possibly the NPP would have been dragged into the whole, discussion, largely because of her association with it. But we should resist the temptation to try to stifle freedom of expression. For me, that is my concern. I do not have any problem with the NPP activating their internal mechanisms, trying to engage her. But the way it was done was problematic because we had cases where the likes of Kennedy Ajapong went berserk on our media platforms, questioning even the integrity of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He was never invited. before any disciplinary committee of the New Patriotic Party? Is it because the Honorable Adwoa Safo is a woman?
No, please.
So these are questions
let's not take it.
Let's
not take it.
Because why is it that they did not have the balls?
So let's not.
Please.
Wait,
Hamza, you can't mention. Please, you can't mention the B word on this show. Please take it back. I beg of you.
There's issues of sexism.
She didn't have the B word.
Okay, I'll take it
back. Plus, you see, just to conclude on this matter, I've seen portions of both constitutions, NPP and DC, and you seem to have mechanisms of dealing with people in these matters. It's none too different from.
I'm just saying that. That is why I'm not questioning it. But my only problem with it has to do with the fact that it appears that when it comes to certain individuals within the NPP, the laws are sharp. But when it comes to the likes of Kennedy Japan, it is shelved. And so for many of us, that is our concern.
Okay.
You see, we are at a stage where we are trying to encourage women from taking active roles in politics. And incidents like this, clearly, it's a disincentive, whichever way you look at it. Because I'm sure that if it had to do with the likes of Ken, they wouldn't have been invited.
That angle of argument, woman in the MPP, let me tell you that angle does not hold water. When you're doing something and your opponents are happy and gearing on, you know that there's a problem.
Dog, I hope so. You see, but you see,
we listen to you. Let's hear out.
Yeah. So there are internal party mechanisms that are going on with the Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, and there are internal party mechanisms that are going on with the Honorable Sarah Adwoa Safo. As I said, to a certain extent, the people of Ghana have an interest in what happens in the New Patriotic Party. And you were talking in particular about the statement she made. She hasn't even appeared before the committee for that case to be made as to whether she went too far, what exactly she said that brought the image of the party into disrepute. So let's wait for those things. But as to the matter of her being a woman and all of that, I think is neither here nor there. You take it from me. As a woman in the MPP, it's not like that. If anything is actually disincentivizing us women in politics, it is the amount of trolls you have on Twitter that come after us and use unprintable words, even if we cough. That is more of a problem than our internal mechanisms. So, as I said earlier before you arrived, I don't want to delve too much into the internal.
All right, Doc, let's hang it there. Let's not.
I think that's it for the Ghanaian overseer. So let's go.
On my way here, I'll listen to her, please. That wouldn't be fair. On my way here, I'll listen to her. After my initial commentary, you decided to go back to her. It is only fair that I get the opportunity. Briefly. Do some 30 seconds. You see, Doc, I think that you are missing the point here. We have not said that people, when they go outside the remits of political parties' own ethics, they should not be invited before your disciplinary committee. The NDC has its own internal disciplinary measures that we deploy. Please. We have our own internal disciplinary measures that we adopt. All what I'm saying is that we must be careful not to send the signal that when it comes to the application of those rules, it only applies to women.
All right, to a certain category.
Exactly. And for me, that is my worry.
Point made. And she disputed, she's debunked that. She says that's not the case.
When it comes to trolls, unless, of course, she didn't monitor the commentary from NPP leading guys on social media that were being churned out against the Honorable Adwoa Safo. They wouldn't have done that against Ken.
To be fair, back then,
we all monitored it.
Back then, it was bad. So we get it.
I can understand her difficulty. She's here representing the New Patriotic Party. So I do not expect her to express her frustration, especially when it comes to the way Adwoa Safo is being handled.
Please don't speak.
But you know that the story is moved from her utterances and how the party, responded with that call.
I do not want to go.
Cancelling the meeting without her knowing beforehand.
Exactly,
right. So that, talking about how the rules are different for women and all that, I think, yes, it's an argument you can make, right? So it's okay. Let's move on. Let's make progress. The New Republic, what stories are on the front page there?
COVID, right?
Yeah.
That is why you want me to respond.
No. So
give us the headlines.
Give us the stories of the headlines.
COVID fugitive nabbed in crowd in a grand showdown.
Oh, it's the same story about Ben Peters.
That's Peters. Again, you see, the reality is that these are still remnants of the last NPP administration that, as a country, we've had to deal with on a daily basis. Clearly, this is not the first time Peters is coming onto the news. We all know his relationship as far as the COVID-19 testing scandal is concerned. When we were in opposition, we had cause to raise it a number of times, even in Parliament, questioning why the government of Ghana decided to empower a Nigerian businessman in that manner, even under questionable circumstances. So these are...
If he had the capacity and maybe Ghanaian businessmen didn't?
I'm sure that there are many Ghanaian businessmen out there who have that capacity. We all know why he was selected, largely because of his own familiar relationship with even certain officials of the Nanado regime. And here I make direct reference to the Secretary to the President then, and the likes of Gabi Ochudako. I am not mincing words. That is why he was selected. And I can assure you that as we speak today, government is still investigating a number of these.
I was just about to ask you, you call it a scandal. What are you doing about it?
Government is investigating.
In terms of oral, we've not heard too much.
Because the oral report has not yet been made public. And remember that when it was presented to the President, the Attorney General indicated that they would look at it and begin processes that are needed or required to ensure that it is operationalized. So until that is done, you cannot conclude that the government has gone to sleep, especially when it comes to issues of this nature. But you see, Ben, it raises issues of security and how exposed our country can be or is getting if we are not careful. And that is the reason why we had to fight all the way out for this change, to be able to reset the system. Because you see, if you have people like this, beginning to now run.
You're a man of law. Let me caution you that we haven't established any wrongdoing, so you might want to
No. I'm not going into this. I'm not going into the substance of the COVID-19 testing.
Right.
I'm going into the conduct at the set premises. You cannot tell me that what he did was legal. Absolutely illegal.
Do you know why he did what he did?
I don't need to know why he did this.
No, I'm just asking. We're just trying to find out. Because here, as we sit here, before you came in, we were discussing among ourselves that we don't know
why
so
he did what he did. But the point, no, I don't. But the issue is that there is, whatever the case would have been, he had no justification to have gone on that tangent. This country is a country of laws. If you are in a neighborhood and you have certain consents, the security agencies are open to you, irrespective of the country you are coming from. You can walk into any security agency and lodge a complaint for them to take it up. You do not, on the basis of your own strength or power or authority, decide to block a public road, irrespective of how you feel. There are laws that must be obeyed in this country.
It tells you how powerful some people are.
Exactly, and that is why it is even worrying. You see, we must be careful in terms of the kind of people we choose to empower as a republic. This is something that worries me, because you see, this is not the first time we are having things like this, where you have our compatriots from other parts of Africa coming in, suddenly in a matter of a year or two, they take charge and they begin to run silo states. It is something we must work on. And for Nigeria, and this is a caution to the Nigerian embassy, I think that it is becoming one too many. Not long ago, I think 2-3 days ago, the High Court have had cause to sentence a young lady to imprisonment, I think for 8 years, largely because of issues of sexual trade,
child trafficking.
Child trafficking and other related matters. Then only for us, less than 48 hours to wake up to the Peters issue. It is important for the ambassador to begin to educate our brothers and sisters from Nigeria who are in this country.
But also, again, quickly, I'll add, we have to make tracks, but I'll also add that sometimes let's not be too quick, because, you see, when we go on this trajectory, we tend to stereotype. Oh, everything.
No, it's not about stereotyping. It's about
because there are a lot of Nigerians in the country who are very things, very good things.
I agree, but that is why he can rely on them and use them as role models. You see, sometimes when you are made an ambassador, you are not expected to just come, occupy an office, and begin interacting with officialdom and neglecting the people on the ground. I want to see concrete steps by the Nigerian ambassador in the form of seminars, engaging his people so that they begin to appreciate how to live in this country. For all you know, many of them may not even know how to take advantage of our legal systems. There's the need for
just by way of moving the conversation, for I think we are done with your paper, but I'm curious, is there a reason why it's the foreign minister that's updating us on the health of the vice president? Not her press secretary, not anyone from her office, but the foreign minister. Is there a reason why he's the one updating?
Because he's the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and there's no way the Vice President would have traveled out of this country without his involvement. Clearly, I am told that he was instrumental in terms of making the arrangements for the Vice President to be flown out. So there's nothing out of the ordinary for the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs to be keeping us updated. And those of you who know their relationship, they have a very deep bond, especially when it comes to the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa and Professor Nana Jane. They worked together first when Ablakwa was the Deputy Minister of Education to Prof. Nana, remember, under the first John Mahama administration. And since then, they have had a beautiful relationship. So Ablakwa is more or less like
Vice President now.
She's Vice President now, and Ablakwa is Foreign Affairs Minister, and Ablakwa is entitled.
Hamza, though I feel it was a post by a minister, not, so to speak, an official communication. But in terms of official communications, shouldn't we have maybe the presidency officially leading the charge, telling us a bit? I'm not saying private medical records are private, but at least telling us what is happening in that respect. What would be wrong with that?
The health situation of the Vice President.
I mean, the Vice President was this, and that, and just give us some updates.
I think that is what has been provided. Unless, of course, maybe
social media from the foreign minister.
Which is why I'm saying that
social media is an important channel.
It shouldn't be.
That is why even JoyNews is broadcasting live on social media. Are you not doing so?
Yes.
It's because it's an important source of communication. So if the Minister of State decides to use that channel to reach out to the Ghanaian people, I think that is acceptable.
But
unless, of course, we are now
Hamza,
trying to criminalize the attempt to use social
media. The last bit I will say is that while it carries weight when Ablakwa puts up a post, he's putting it out there in his personal capacity. That's why I don't see it to be. If it comes from Callistus Mahama, for example, officially from the seat of the presidency, I know, okay. I'm not saying I'm doubting what Ablakwa is saying, but I'm saying he's not speaking. Do you get it? It's a post he has put up on social media. So I see it as a post by the Honorable Okudzeto-Ablakwa. But if there's an official communication, it should come from a certain quarter.
I don't see. When there was a need for an official communication, that was done. I have just explained to you that the Honorable Ablakwa has a special bond, especially when it comes to the woman.
Right.
When the woman was being flown out, we had an official statement from the presidency informing the good people of this country that she was being flown out for medical.
So why couldn't the updates come through the exact same forum?
No, you see, that is the
official communication you just said.
That is the Honorable Okudzeto-Ablakwa is the minister responsible for foreign affairs. He has a personal relationship with the woman. He has decided to let the Ghanaian people know the state of the Vice President of our republic.
Okay.
What I'm simply telling you that he is not barred from doing so. He is not. Any of Prof's children can decide today to tell us that our Vice President is doing well. But I am telling you that when it comes to the medical situation, it does not mean that the presidency will not be in a position to release further updates when it deems it necessary.
Let's go to the Economy Times now.
Oh, I thought you were giving it like a few minutes to just
please feel free,
have my bites on. You see, the hypocrisy of the NDC is just wonderful. How the Honorable Okudzeto-Ablakwa and my dear brother Hamza here are now able to confidently and very comfortably defend public officials seeking healthcare outside. Let me just put it on record. Personally, I have nothing wrong with it. I don't see anything wrong with seeking healthcare and expanding your reach when you have a problem. But this is a group of people that have been on the neck of the previous administration for sending members outside the country for health. But at the drop of a pin, the current Vice President has a medical issue and you fly her out of the country. Personally, as I'm saying, I don't have a problem with that. It's just the hypocrisy of the NDC.
How is that hypocritical?
No, there was a point at which the NDC in opposition had a press conference because Dr. Barimah had been flown out of the country for. So how do you marry that with what's going on here? To me, all of this is below the belt. It's something that should not have even started. It's something that we should have removed from our politics, especially knowing the fact that even when they were in opposition, high-ranking members of the NDC were being flown out of the country for health. But because of politics, you come and have a press conference and blow this matter out of proportion to court public disaffection. Then you come into government, you don't even demonstrate any will to actually do as you say. But just in the first 3 months, you fly your vice president out of the country. Like, we are all children here. I mean, that's something that I hope moving forward in our politics, we all mature and drop some of these childish things.
I'm tempted to ask, Doc, even if the intent is to build capacity for our hospitals here so they don't have to fly out, in 3 months, you think that's enough time for them to have been able to do that?
Sweetie, it's not a matter of capacity. At that time, when they were asking that Dr. Barimah be treated here, there were hospitals here. And let me just make
Because Dr. Barimah was in office as the vice president, and they were putting pressure on them to focus on building the capacity of our hospitals here so that we don't... How many Ghanaians do you think can fly out to seek medical care when they need it?
Not if you look at the
So as opposition, when they were in opposition, it makes sense that they will try to hold government,
you can hold government feet to the fire without making these things, especially when it's going to be hung around your own neck. If you were not champagne socialist and you were the type that would actually receive treatment in
champagne socialists,
yes, that's what I call them, because they have a problem with everything, but they are the first to do it. If they didn't have a problem and they were at UGMC, no problem. And at that time, so many things were actually done to try and improve our health system. As I said, it takes some time, as you also said. But even if you're a president somewhere in Europe, some of the leaders in Europe go to other European countries to seek medical care. If you are doing certain procedures, the thing can be so specialized that maybe the only expert in the world is in Switzerland. Yes. So you will fly there. Yes. So it's not something that we should make a big deal about, especially
when the NDC
when
should not have
especially when you
the NPP
even when you were in opposition, you were doing the same thing.
The only issue I'll take with that is maybe how rampant it gets when people of a certain, I mean, for me, if a vice president, people in the trail from president, vice president, speaker of parliament, chief justice, all of these, the three arms of government, if these things happen, I approach it with a certain level of, because if you read even our constitution and the protections given them, it makes sense. What I do not like, and there are two things. One, we should build our internal systems, because if we get to the point where you are, recently, I had a relative at the UGMC. This is not the first time. This is about the third time. And I know the quality of healthcare they have there. Now, if the UGMC is not able to deal with certain things, and it could be specialized, I've heard about claims about what ails the vice president, which I will not talk about on air. These things are not necessary. But it means we must build more capacity in those areas internally, because I've always been that for the fact that if politicians are quick to do this, how about ordinary Ghanaians? Will I be flown out?
Yeah, so Ben, let me just...
Wait. That is point number one. And this whole penchant we seem to have about people being treated outside, like I said, it has to do with the numbers. If you have a number of people under an administration, and you know that it is from the public kitty, not from private resources, that is where it gets pretty complicated. So let's delineate, let's differentiate.
With the issue of UGMC, it's a very nice building, very nice thinking that goes into it. But if you are trying to build a quaternary facility, that is what we were trying to do with UGMC. It takes some time, especially in training of the staff. So one of the things the MPP did when we were in government was to make the postgraduate training of doctors free, to hasten that process. Because
to get specialized.
Exactly. So if you look at UGMC right now, most of the MOs they hired when the hospital was open are now doing their residency programs in 37, Ridge, Kolebu and Co. It will take 3 to 5 years for them to complete, and then UGMC will now have like a full field of specialists. So these things take time. Number two,
the UGMC was opened, was it not, in
2019? But it wasn't, the whole system of the hospital was not opened at the same time. It was opened slowly. So the first batch of MOs were allowed to go for their residency somewhere in 2021. And residencies take 3 years at the minimum. If you are trying to get to that level, you're doing something that's more complicated, surgery or whatnot, it can take up to 5 to 6 years. So as you can see, even the first batch I think maybe the highest they would have reached by now is membership if they were doing internal medicine. So I'm like, with those things, it would take a long time because medical training takes some time. Then number two, the way I like to look at it with these people traveling abroad is, you can imagine like Kenneth Oriata, when he was a private citizen, he must have been traveling abroad for his healthcare. So then when he comes into government, it then becomes a matter of he's already comfortable with the person there. Because especially where I work, by virtue of where I work, we see a lot of people whose primary healthcare providers are out of the country. These are people that used to travel to Spain to get very basic things done. And so we have tried to create a market to be able to...
Let me interject. It's for the sake of time. It's not a problem. These things happen. Like in the US, you'd realize that you can do some of these things. I think Marine Le Pen, you see why she's in trouble in France, partly because she was using certain resources that were not out of her kitty to make certain payments to, is it a bodyguard or all of that? We don't care. As for the president, the vice, and those I've mentioned in this order, the state has certain, categorization for them and dealing with their health and all of that. I'm saying that if a finance minister, for example, has a health issue, okay, to what extent will the state have to contribute? To what extent can we go? To what extent can that person decide, okay, if I have my own money, I will go to X facility and pay from my own, resources, not the public purse. That's where we are concerned. As for where you want to go, you can go to Mars if that's where you will get the best of healthcare. And if you are forking the money from your own pocket, if it's state coffers, that is what we.
I see where you are coming from with this, and so it's a conversation that we can have. But with most employers, they do provide healthcare. So looking at it from that angle, if you are the CEO of any proper company, they are covering your healthcare. So I'm sure that's the thinking that goes into it. But as a country, we can always have that conversation again. Yeah.
Doc, let's get into your paper.
Okay, so I have the Economy Times. BOG data projects strong economic growth in 2025. Exporters, analysts react to 10% US tariffs on Ghanaian exports amidst ambassador's reassurance. Economists hope Ghana gets IMF target waivers as it concludes fourth review. Why would we need waivers? I thought we were on track. So I think I would focus on the issue of the tariffs because it's been trending for a while. Ghanaian exporters have reacted to the 10% tariff adjustment by the United States against all imports from Ghana, highlighting a threat to Ghana-US bilateral trade relations. The Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana indicates that the imposition of the tariffs could adversely impact the business community, particularly those involved in export activities. So I think it's been in the news for some time, and so people get the gist of it. What I personally hope is that if you've been following the issues that have been going on, even from Trump's first term, this matter of the trade war and tariffs, I don't think we are the targets for it. You can... That could be debatable. I don't think we are the targets for it. He has said, President Trump has said that he's just looking to curtail unfair trade practices with the US, and it looks like his main target is probably China and all of that. So I do feel that in this situation, this is where we need the government to be up and doing, because it looks like a matter of negotiating. If there's any price difference or something with our exports, that looks to the US that we were disadvantaging them or shortchanging them over time. This is something we can quickly rectify so that we can even position ourselves to be a country of low tariffs so that we can attract some commercial activity into the country. Because I know personally, when the war in Israel and Gaza started, Turkey placed some tariffs on Israel. So some of the equipment we use in the clinic, for instance, are from Israel, and then that became a problem. So you see, if you're able to create an economy where you become a low-tariff destination, that could serve as a really nice attraction for people to come and invest in Ghana. So I would just call on the necessary authorities to handle this swiftly and, spare us the photos till they have some results.
Well, just for context, I know that the story is actually here. Kojo Nkrumah lauded the minister's engagement with the ambassador because the foreign minister invited the ambassador for the United States over, and they were locked in a conversation yesterday about how we can move forward and how we can also save ourselves. Do you want to get a bite at this before Ben comes in?
Yes, I think it's important. I think, first of all, Doc, let me assure you that we are not champagne socialists and that we are a social democratic party fully committed to that.
I thought you had forgotten about that.
No, I didn't get the opportunity to respond to that.
Okay.
And we are not changing our stance. I'm sorry to state. I always believe that we have to get to a situation in this country where, especially when it comes to our political operatives, I mean the president, the vice president, and the ministers, we must find ways of ensuring their treatment within the shores of this country for the safety of our country. Because when they are elected into office, they become national assets. They become an embodiment of our security. So you can imagine what happens if they are flown abroad for treatment. The possible underhand dealings that could go wrong, largely because of international relations and state interests, especially when it comes to Ghana. So anytime you have a political operative flown out of this country, undoubtedly, the national security of the country would be at stake. So that is why, even in opposition, we had issues with it. Unfortunately, we were left with an unforgivable mess over the last 8 years in terms of poor investments in our health infrastructure.
I would disagree with you.
But please, when you were, I had so many disagreements.
It's okay. Let's make progress.
Go ahead, Hamza.
I allowed you. You see, we've had to deal with a situation of poor infrastructure, poor investments in our health infrastructure, especially after His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama left office. If you notice, what informed our investments in the health sector when he was president was largely driven by that national security considerations, especially when it comes to our political appointments. That's why you had the UGMC hospital. That's why you have Reach Now, modernized, and the Smith Hospital Trust as well. It was done to ensure that we nip in the bud this obsession of having to take out of this country political operatives for treatment, because it is a serious national security concern. But unfortunately, we handed power to a group of people who seem to be interested over the last 8 years in enriching themselves. And so even in investment in in the health facility suffered. If you need 3 years to have qualified personnel at UGMC, and the people of this country gave you 8 years in power, what did you do over the last 8 years? If you wanted to train even the best in the country to manage UGMC, you think that they wouldn't have done so in the last 8 years?
So
but if you look at the nature of what is happening today, remember that even Prof was first taken to UGMC. It was based on a referral. We did everything to avoid that situation because we are concerned about its implications on our security. And when we got to a stage that we could not avoid that, we quickly swung into action.
We've mentioned that is acceptable. We've also mentioned that.
Yeah, so clearly, even there, we have made sure that we have provided in place the needed security architecture to ensure that the state is protected, even while she's away and abroad. So there's a difference. I am not shying away from the admonition that we should not be engaged in taking our political operatives outside this country for medical treatment. It's something I condemned yesterday. It is something I will condemn today. But we are at this stage largely because of
we must do a lot more. I remember I've been saying here that the Bank Hospital, for example, many years ago, I caught a lot of flack for that because I had to push the erstwhile administration on so many things. The stories are still there in terms of even getting it running. I was literally, so we need to do more. The other good thing is we've heard the president talk about completing projects in Agenda 111 is there. Hopefully,
it can help in dealing with our health. As a political party, we don't joke with it because we know it's tied to the security of our country. We don't. Same with the energy sector. And that is why you've heard the president seem to be interested in these two sectors lately.
We have to go in a bit, so
But briefly on the issue of what's the name? The tariff. Dog, and I must commend you, at least for wearing that nationalistic hat and appreciating that we are at a stage where states are engaged in pursuing their own interests. And we, as a republic, must also consider doing the same, especially based on where we stand. I've always argued that Ghana has an advantage when it comes to our relationship with the rest of the world. Because if you are coming into Africa, we become the gateway, whichever way you look at it, because our first African country to have attained political independence. We have a thriving democracy. There are problems with it, but so far stable since 1992. Depending on how we position ourselves and how we market ourselves, we would be in a position to take advantage of our situation and possibly turn things around.
All right.
These things were expected with Trump presidency, and that is why the budget that was presented to Parliament was holistic in nature, because most of these things were preempted. And I can assure you that
Trump spoke about some of these things.
The policy prescriptions of this government will undoubtedly ensure that we contain the negative effects of these policies.
Trump spoke about some of these things on the campaign trail, so I guess
exactly
it's biting us. Daily Graphic: government to stop issuing prospecting licenses to small-scale miners. Ghana risks losing EU timber export license. Parliament yet to ratify protocols. New rules set for Okada riders. On the back page, 40-bed facility to boost cancer care and treatment and intervention to empower prisoners, ex-convicts in northern Ghana unveiled. I'm going to box in a lot of issues so that we discuss them once and for all. This 40-bed bid, I remember Eki Asapong is director of Lifeline for Childhood Cancer Ghana. I've interacted with her once. She's doing amazing things in the fight. I think she lost a child and she became an advocate. So an organization dedicated to offering support to children with cancer, Lifeline for Childhood Cancer Ghana, is constructing a new 40-bed facility for the care and treatment of childhood cancer cases at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And when completed by the end of this year, it is expected the facility will be a complete center with diagnostics, imaging, consulting rooms, playrooms, cafeterias, and isolation wards for the care and treatment of children cancers. They have also been pushing, together with others, for some of these to be listed on the National Health Insurance. And I think it's great work that they are doing there. Persons willing to operate a commercial motorcycle or tricycle, popularly known as Okada, can only do so if they belong to a recognized tricycle transport union or employed by a licensed commercial motorcycle company. The provision to prohibit operations without belonging to a recognized union and for riders to be at least 25 years of age is part of the new legislative instrument being drafted to amend the existing one, Road Traffic Regulations 2012. That's 2180. It goes on, and I think this is a positive step. I remember ahead of the 2020 elections, the promises John Mahama made to Okada riders. And I feel, look, we have to regulate. If you go to Rwanda and how they operate there, beautiful, we can do say. On the bit about government stopping prospecting licenses, my only issue there, Hamza, the Act points to this bit about, for foreigners, will deport them. The Act says when you are caught in some of these, you must be imprisoned and then deported. I don't know why because we've seen the Aisha Huang situation and others where people feel emboldened to come back into the country and engaging, activities inimical to us. Do you have a quick response for that? Just a quick one on that, quickly.
I think that I share your frustration. My position has always been that if people come into the country and engage in acts that we consider criminal, they must be willing to face the full rigors of the law. But I can also appreciate the long hands of diplomacy, especially when it comes to interstate relations.
We're still doing diplomacy in the fight against Galamsey?
Clearly, that must not take precedence over our laws. If you go to the United States of America or the United Kingdom and engage in any criminal activity, be rest assured that their laws would be kicked in and you would face the full rigors of their system. And even jailed in some cases. And after serving your term, even if you were given a green card or citizenship status, you are likely to lose it and be deported back to your original country. So nothing prevents this country from adhering to its laws and ensuring compliance when it comes
for the sake of time. I'll come to you definitely. African mothers, newborns still dying needlessly. That's according to the UN. And yesterday was World Health Day, and we can do better with the numbers. EU prefers negotiation on US tariffs, but readies first retaliation. So they are preparing negotiations, but they are also preparing retaliation. But China has already hit back on the US tariffs. China hit back with a stiff import tax on US goods as countries and industries around the world weigh their responses to President Donald Trump's latest tariff hikes that are roiling global trade and world markets. And the final one on Ghana risking losing its EU timber export license. I just want to end there. Beginning June 15 this year, all timber products that will be exported from Ghana to the EU market must conform to the Forest Law Enforcement Governance and Trade License requirement. Although the move would make Ghana the first African country and the second in the world to meet the requirement, the opportunity risks fizzling out due to Parliament's failure to ratify the timber rights before rising last month. If the country fails to ratify the timber rights, all timber products leaving the country cannot enter the EU, the country's largest market for wood and wood products. That's it from my end. Quick responses. Hamza, I gave you a little bit in there on the first issue. So I'll give her about 1 minute and then you wrap as well.
Yeah, I'll just stick to the matters of health, because by the time I'm done, the time will be done. See, it's very interesting that the political party that has done very little to motivate doctors in this country think they've made an investment in healthcare because they built one facility that was already in the plans of the University of Ghana to build. What about my grandmother in the Eastern region? If she's sick, she should die because she's far and not in Accra. Who is going to stay in that hospital and work? We made postgraduate training free, and so that is why UGMC is going to be brought up to standard. We were talking about the cancers. We added 4 childhood cancers to the NHIA, Burkitt's lymphoma, Wilms tumor, and all that. So when it comes to commitment to healthcare and understanding the system and knowing what to do with it, it's not even up for debate as to who has done better. So, I mean, that's all I have to say on the matter of health. UGMC is there. If it's the building that treats people, you could have sent Professor Nana there. But it takes more than that, and we showed commitment to that. We're just talking about car waivers. You don't want to allow us to be able to buy cars, and you don't think we'll write the USMLE and leave?
Points made. Final points, Hamza.
Clearly, if for 8 years you failed to do what you were expected to do in making UGMC functional, it is interesting how you concluded.
It's functional, Hamza.
Oh, but you just enumerated the challenges that are associated with
Hamza, this is your final take.
Well, thank you for that. In any case, you see, you can spend as much as you want. The good people of this country know that when it comes to investment in health infrastructure, the NDC stands tall. That is why when you go to places like the Upper West region, we have something substantial to point to. You go to the Northern region, we have something substantial to point to. You go to Eastern region, we even have something there to point to. Unlike you.
And you name them.
Unlike you. But you know that in the Upper West region, we have the Upper West Regional Hospital.
Which we added for phase 3.
If
we enter this, we won't finish.
You see, so clearly, if you were committed to the health of this country, if we have given you infrastructure, proceeded to employ people you came to fire, nothing stops you over the last 8 years from actually positioning this health infrastructure to work.
Hamza, this is where we're going to have to.
And that is the reason why I've always argued. Finally on this point, please, Ben. Finally. Ben, finally. You see, we are at a stage. I always tell the people of this country that the tax was simply not to vote the MPP out of office. But even as they are out of office, the tax is for us to keep them there. Because if there's anything they know how to do, is to deceive the good people of this country.
And that day is Hamza
you can run a campaign with propaganda, but we will sit here.
We also had Dr. Ifiamwako from the NPP Communications Directorate. You want to stay with us? Although we've ended the news review segment, sports comes up next on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the big stories on the AM show. That's what we call this segment as we delve into the hard issues. And first on the chopping board, the minority has called on government to allow an independent probe into the cocaine and money laundering allegations raised by the ranking member of the committee, Reverend Ntim Fordjour, emphasizing the gravity of the issue and the need for accountability and transparency. But like I asked in the morning, what is fact, what is fiction, or is it faction? This morning, we have an engagement with the Narcotics Control Commission. Joining us, lawyer Twum Barimah. He's Deputy Director, Narcotics Control Commission. Sweetie.
Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I've been browsing your website, and I must say that it's quite easy to navigate. And so let's start from a very general question. You say that with unwavering determination, you are at the forefront of curbing drug abuse, forging a path towards a healthier, safer Ghana. I just read that from your website. How is it going?
Well, greetings to your viewers. It's not been that easy, looking at the fact that people are hiding behind the curtains, selling illicit drugs, especially the now popular red, or as they call it. And as we know, it's the effect on our youth is just becoming too much. But we haven't relaxed on our efforts. We are going after them. Not long ago, I think about a week or so ago, we sent a team from here to Bibiani and Miasubakwai in the Western North region to go and apprehend some persons with our intel had it that they were selling this bread to, people. They were running let me say, Lance's chemical shop or something. So we are going after them gradually. Our intel are on several regions, and as and when we make sure that, we get further in full details, we strike.
Right. And just for purposes of education, for the benefits of our audience, we know that you're no longer a board, it's a commission.
Yes,
which means you now have more investigative powers rather than just policy direction and all that. So exactly what do you... So let's educate the public before we get into the hard issues. Exactly what does NACOC do?
So NACOC, if you look at the act, this is the act right before me here, 1019, the Narcotic Control Commission Act 2020. Section 3 of the act tells you the functions of the commission. And the function is that we coordinate activities relating to the arrest and investigation of offenses connected with the production, processing, and trafficking of narcotic drugs or plants, and the illicit production, processing, and trafficking of precursors. And then the B will tell you that on the authority of the Attorney General, we prosecute offenses under this act. And also the C will tell you that we take measures to, one, eliminate the import and export by land, water bodies, or air, narcotic drugs, narcotic plants, and precursors for illicit purposes, to secure, in collaboration with the relevant competent authority where necessary, the coastal landing sites of fishermen against the import and export of narcotic drugs. Among others, it's quite a lot. So these are some of the functions of Narcotic Control Commission. We can arrest you, we can detain you by ourselves. When we arrest you, we don't give you to the police to detain you. We have our own cells and everything that we detain you in. We have our legal team that, as the law rightly indicated, that liaises with the Attorney General to do the prosecutions on our behalf on cocaine matters, heroin, and every other narcotic that you can think of.
All right. Ben.
Well, there are critical issues that we're going to have to contemplate on these matters. Of course, there was that BBC documentary in recent times as well, highlighting some other drugs. I don't know whether you have any idea what the follow-ups have been from the FDA in respect of, the tramadol,
the red,
tafradol. You mentioned red, but I'm looking at the composite of them.
Okay. So, we do all. I think not too long after my assumption of office, we went to Tamaport. There was this 40-feet container or so.
And you've been in office, by the way, for about, 3 weeks?
Just about 3 weeks, yeah. And I think it was just, I resumed on Friday, so the Monday right after, that was when we went to the Tamaport.
I see.
Yeah. So there was this container which we were told that is transiting to Niger. And it was, in full of this tramadol or this red tabs that we intercepted. But the sad part of it is that when you pick, let's say, a sachet or a pack of that tablets, you only see that you don't find the actual manufacturer. You only see made in India. But you and I know very well that India, even Ghana, is very big. Even though our land size, if you look at the map, we say it's a very small country. But Ghana is very big. So if somebody tells you that this thing is made in Ghana, which part of Ghana was this made in? Which company in Ghana, which producer in Ghana produced that particular tablet or whatever? Yet, because of the fact that they know that whatever they are doing is wrong or is against the law, they try to hide their actual identity and just go into mass production of these things. And unfortunately, we will get people who will go into this and trade in them.
And I was just about to get to that, because if you look at the BBC Africa, expose, it mentions, that specific entity and the purported outlet in Ghana. So I guess they are learning. Now they are deciding not to use any labeling, but that also contravenes our laws.
Of course it does. Because whenever you produce something, these phones that we are carrying, when they pick it, you know that it's made by Apple. And Apple is a company, well-known company that you know. You don't need any other thing, to prove it. So if you know you are doing a genuine thing, the right thing, as you are sitting here, your institution's logo is showing right on your media, on the screens, showing that this is where we are. So if you are doing the right thing, why are you then hiding your identity? But it's because you know whatever you are doing is against the law, and you know it's wrong. Yet you decide to do it because of your so-called benefit in terms of cash. That is why you are hiding your identity, yet getting yourself involved in the wrong acts.
But Alex, the key point I'm making then is once you have loopholes in your system, criminals will want to take advantage of those and make money out of that. How are you collaborating with the other state agencies to put a stop to this? Our youth are getting exposed to these hard drugs, and who knows what the after effects will be.
You are very right. Not long ago, the Youth Development Ministry, led by Minister Pariado, they had a program which I was invited to be one of the speakers. And it was all part of the collaborations that we want to collaborate with other agencies or other sectors in order to fight this canker. We are already teamed up with the national security because we are part of the security setup. We are teamed up with our colleagues with the now NIB, formerly BNI, the police, among others. So we are going all out. If you go to the port, we have our men at the port working together with the national security, the port securities, among other people. If you come to the airport as well, we are also there working alongside national security, BNI or NIB, and other sister agencies to ensure that every other loophole, as you mentioned, that is being created by these hooligans or criminals, we can get to see it and then fight it as well.
It's interesting that you mentioned the airport because you are tempting me to go into the Reverend Ntim Fordjour situation. I mean, if there's nothing else you want to add on dealing with...
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can move.
Right. How long have you had the authorities at the airport stationed? I know it's basic protocol, but how long have they been there since the inception since the inception of this administration's work at the airport? What has been the security framework at the airport?
But airport security has basically got nothing to do with the government. I mean, because there's a change in government, you put off. No, it's just the leadership that may change at some point. But every other activity, operations, or duties that you perform, it's continuous. It doesn't end up.
I don't dispute that. You missed my point. When there's a transition, when there's a change in government, some officials like you have changed.
Of course, yes. That's what I'm saying. The leaders.
When you mentioned NIB and you mentioned NACOC and your collaborations, I'm saying from that perspective, not airport security as in the airport. From the national security perspective, how have things flowed from the transitional period through the 7th of January till now? That's what I'm asking.
It's been very smooth because we have always been there working together. Yeah.
Before Reverend Ntim Fordjour came out with these comments, were you aware of this AirMed flights, the 2 flights that he spoke about? Was national security aware of it?
Okay. So when I resumed office, we were prompted of a kind of search, let me put it in that simple term, that was about to go on at the airport on a particular aircraft.
You know which aircraft?
Oh, is the 1 second. It's the very flight that Ntim Fordjour mentioned in his letter.
Okay.
Let me get his letter so that I can read it well. There's a letter that he issued. I'm sure you have seen that he was inviting us to Parliament. Yeah, and he mentioned the Kavok Air and Antonov AM-12B. Yeah, so it was that particular flight. So funny enough, I was assigned by the Director General to go and be with our people, our men, as they do their work. And I can say here that the work was not done by NACOC alone. It was done by NACOC, it was done by Customs, the National Security, the BNI, and even the AFSEC, the Aviation Security. They were also there. Funny enough, little did I know that something is going to come up from Ntim Fordjour. And because it was my very first exercise, my brother, I did something for myself by taking about 24 seconds video of the aircraft. So that's it.
Our viewers will not be able
to see it's just for you.
And I'm lowering your volume because...
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So that's
it. So you can
zoom in. Okay, so Antonov 1-2 B.
Correct. Right. So you can see our men standing there. So we did all our checks on this flight, and it was.
And this was prior to Ntim Fordjour.
Oh no! This is like, what's the is it? I think it was 3 weeks or so ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was prior to his message or his information. So we did all our checks and everything turned out to be negative. But prior to that, we had already...
Negative means?
Negative means, I mean, there was nothing bad or I mean, that means, for instance, cocaine or whatever on board.
So what was on board?
Nothing. I mean, it was not anything that needed the agencies to arrest or apprehend or do anything. You understand? So once we did it with our canine, dogs, once they came in, went in, we took 2 dogs that day to the scene or to the tarmac. One after the other, they took the dogs inside. The first one entered with our officials, they did the scanning, came out. The second one also entered, did the scanning, and then came out. After we were done and we didn't find anything, we leave, and then the other people also continue, with the other. So I left, I think I left there around, if I'm not mistaken, around 10 or 9 something.
PM?
No, AM. It was in the morning, very early in the morning. Okay. Yeah. So, and then we left. Only for us to come another time or to hear our brother Ntim Fordjour alleging that this particular aircraft came with, I don't know whether he's saying it came with cocaine or it came to pick cocaine. Which is which?
He's saying that it may have been used as a conduit, either to deliver...
But you see, this is where he makes the things even, muddy for himself. I know him to be a ranking member on the committee that my agency falls under.
He is the ranking member?
He is. I've appeared before that committee not long ago, I think about 2 weeks ago. And he was there. But he even took time out to congratulate me. Okay? So...
To congratulate you on what?
Oh, on my appointment. Oh. As Deputy Director General. Yeah. So, it's very sad that someone of his caliber, let's assume that all that you are saying is true. And you have this information. You didn't even need the media in the first place. As a ranking member, you know whom to contact. You know whom to liaise with. You would have just called either the National Security Coordinator or even the Interior Minister who is your colleague. Because he oversees all these agencies. And then give him the information and then ensure that the right actions are taken.
Was that any breach in protocol?
No, but you are talking about security matters. Assuming this thing is true and maybe the thing was even delivered, because now you cannot even tell whether it was delivered or it was taken away. You cannot tell us which is which. But let's even take the first option, that maybe they were delivering. People who were taking these things, certain things need to be sealed first to be able to trace them and get them arrested. Once you expose it, they also get alert.
Sweetie Abochi will be coming in shortly, but just a quick one. You've spoken about the Antonov flight. How about the Ahmed, the other one?
I know of this.
You don't know of this?
I know of this. And you see, the very sad part of it is that yesterday, even this morning, I think the person sent a message yesterday, but it was this one that I watched very early in the morning as I was preparing to come. I realized that he was on Paul Adam Otri's show. And then he was showing a white aircraft, supposedly, that is supposed to be the air ambulance. And then when Paul queried him about that, is it the aircraft? He said, oh, this is how the aircraft is supposed to be, so this is not the actual aircraft. I thought you said you have information that we don't have. As I've shown you the actual aircraft that I took.
But he gave you the flight numbers, right?
No. You see, the way he is talking, if I were him, you should go beyond what he is saying. I have given you further evidence here, which is undoubted. If you look at what I showed you and what Felix showed to the entire country, it's the same aircraft.
Mr. Twum Barimah, so you're saying that you checked this aircraft, took this 20-something seconds
24
video,
seconds video, yeah.
Weeks before Reverend Ntim Fordjour came out with that.
He came out, I think, last week, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Last week?
Yes.
Yeah. It was
so as part of your mandate, you do control and enforcement, which is why I wanted to specify that it is within your purview to do that. So when he came out with this presser, alleging that this is a conduit to either take cocaine in or bring it in, take it out or bring it in, why didn't your outfit respond and say, we have indeed conducted a search and we didn't find anything? Why do you let it go on and spiral into a national issue where we have international communities saying that we should take it seriously? If you had these pieces of evidence, as you're saying, why did you wait this long?
Okay, so you see, since the flight upon it being checked, there was nothing positive on it, but everything was negative. There's no need to communicate anything. No, there's no need to communicate anything.
The Reverend pointed
his point that he's saying is baseless. You see, I don't want to be very hard on him. He's baseless. It's baseless person that I have been a police officer before, and I'm a lawyer. You don't just come out and start putting things out there without substantiating everything that you are saying. You said that everything. Even this one, as I was coming, I saw on the front page of I think Daily Guide also that the video that Felix showed is staged. So where is the video that contradicts what Felix showed? Are you able to prove to us or to give us anything? The answer is no. So, and then you are taking everybody, I mean, on this kind of rampage or
exactly.
I mean,
so the question really
because we are entertaining him. I mean, that's how I see it. Okay. Sorry, but that's how I see it.
It's okay. So the question is, why let it go on?
No,
you have evidence. Someone comes out to say, we suspect that a case like this is happening.
You suspect what?
That's cocaine.
The moment
is being smuggled.
It's not true.
Exactly. So
because he has not proven anything. You see,
Mr. Calm down and let's have this conversation.
When he said that, the president immediately came out and said, I have instructed the national security and I mean all these institutions, including ours. That they should,
you had this.
Relax. And that they should liaise with him or collaborate with him, or he should collaborate with us for us, I mean, to give us every information, and then we should also conduct investigations into the matter. We have our report already on any aircraft that we have searched. The report is there. But you are saying something contrary to what we are saying. We have already, gotten to know. And the law is that he who alleges must prove. You are the one saying things. So you must give us things that goes beyond what we have heard, we have seen, or we know. But to the best of my knowledge, I have not seen or heard anything of that sort.
Okay. So people are starting to say that Ghana, or we've had the drug problem in the past, and they're saying that that time is coming back. And for your outfit, that is supposed to control narcotics, abuse, all of it. You have a member of parliament saying that they are suspecting something like this happening, in addition to some drug busts that we are seeing here and there. Would it be terribly wrong to tell the Ghanaian population that we've heard what the Reverend Minister is saying or the Member of Parliament is saying, but to bring finality and calmness and clarity to this matter, we indeed conducted a search? I put it to you that because you didn't immediately respond with the evidence that you had, that is why it aspired into the situation we have here today.
No, I disagree. I am not of the opinion that it's because we are entertaining him. That is why he's going on. I mean, that's
what are you calling entertaining?
Oh, we are entertaining because he's just all over. Today he's on this platform. The other day, the next day he'll be here. The next day he'll be there. And then he's getting. And to be honest with you, if you track him, I have seen him on about, I think, 3 or so platforms that I've listened to. His message is not the same.
Okay.
But my point is very simple. If you say that Ghana is becoming, I mean, more or less the hub for drug, the very time we got to know this, I'm going to read a report to you, which was, published not by any other outfit, by your own outfit. This is Nigeria Online. Ghana identified as transit country for drugs trafficking. British High Commission indicates. This was June 28th, 2022. Published by Nigeria Online.
I'll throw the baton back to Ben in a bit. The point I'm trying to make, or the question I'm asking, really, is how do you combat misinformation and disinformation? Isn't it with the correct information? So this man is making these allegations.
Yeah, but you see,
and you
now
see the words that be coming out to say that.
Every information.
Let her make it.
That's fine. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm saying that this person is saying something you just said it's baseless, suspicions out of nowhere. But you have the correct information that will silence this once and for all.
But government spokesperson or the one who speaks for the executive, we are part of the executive. Every other state apparatus is part of the executive.
But as NACOC,
we are part of the executive. NACOC is part of the executive. We have come out to communicate through the government minister of communication. And he says that everything that he has said is false. Which means he doesn't believe anything from anybody. So my point is very simple. Since all that we are saying is not true, no problem. Where is the truth? We have shown video. Where is your video contradicting what we showed? Give it to us to make our own false, to make our claims false. We have not seen any. In fact, I was even feeling that yesterday when he went to Paul Admotri's show, maybe he was taking a video to the place. But what I saw them doing was, giving us flight itinerary. Do we care about that?
Okay. And before I go back to Ben in a bit, is it possible?
Yes.
That all this could turn out to be true? That indeed this flight, Air Med and the other one, came into the country and offloaded drugs before you went on? Because these arguments pouring out.
No, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know because what I know
because
is
of the time that the video started coming in.
Which video?
It's the videos that you're now showing, the video that Phyllis Kwachifosu and even the allegations that the pictures that he's posting is not really the ambulance, the airmed that we're talking about. Because you look at the till number. I can pull that up.
Sorry.
Phyllis Kwachifosu posted a photo on his social media.
Yes.
That's the aircraft that's landed in the country, and they're trying to prove that there was some inspection going on over there. But when you look at the tail end of the ambulance, hopefully I can pull it up in a bit.
Okay.
It's different from the one that is in question.
But have you seen the one in question?
We have the number.
No,
right?
No. You see, don't get it wrong. That number that you are seeing or you'll be hearing is not a number that is written on the aircraft.
Right.
Okay. The flight number is not written on the aircraft. It's generated.
Okay.
Okay. So if I tell that my flight number is KL275, it's not written on the aircraft that this is KL275. And Ntim Fordjour has not shown any aircraft.
Actually, that's an argument. Yeah.
Exactly. Today, this morning, I have the link here. His show or his program with Paul Admotri. When they were showing an aircraft, he said, "Oh, that is not the exact aircraft, but that is how it's supposed to be." Are we serious?
Ntim Fordjour in his first presser said it was possible,
yes,
that the country was being used as a conduit for drugs or maybe money laundering, among others. Then subsequently, he said pretty categorically that these things were happening. There was talk about from Phyllis Kwachifosu that he had been invited, to assist in the investigations, and then later the Reverend Honorable Member of Parliament.
I like the way you are taking your time to call his
said that there had been no such invitation. I just want to know the status of that, because this is crucial to our national security.
So the status of what exactly?
That invitation. Did he get that invitation? Did he not get that invitation? If not, is he going to be invited in any way, shape, or form?
Okay. All right. So the first point is whether or not he had. You made a statement that he said here Ghana has become a possible point of money laundering and then drug.
So in the first presser,
yes,
he expressed possibility. Then following that, he became more categorical.
Okay. So on that point, I've noted your point. On that point, what I can say is that the era that Ghana started suffering from that was during their time.
You mean
under, I can say
under Kufuor? That's what
under Kufuor's government, especially the Kufuor is.
But even before that, you remember the incident.
Benjamin and Kora.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah, those ones. I mean, at least you have been able to deal with it. So let's be.
But the erstwhile NDC administration also had its issues.
But that's what I'm saying. That we have dealt with them. But let's talk about the immediate one that we just took over from. Under their time, my brother, they were not even pronouncing or even making known cases of drug that they were even dealing with. They were hiding it. I'm saying this on authority.
And that was a point I was about to get to.
Okay,
are we seeing these now? Because, but you make your point.
You see, we are a security and intelligence institution, my brother. It's not everything that we say.
Okay.
We are, per our law, NACOC is a security and intelligence organization. So we don't just come out and start talking. We don't do that. All right? But now he's pushing us, to come into the arena. The time was your time. I just read a news story published by your own institution saying that Ghana became ABCD. And that in 2022, I wasn't in government in 2022. It was your government. All right? So if the country became that, it was through you. Not too long ago, we have arrested this Nigerian guy. That Monday that I said we went to the harbor. That was the day the guy was arrested.
Which one are you referring?
A Nigerian guy, a Nigerian national.
2.1 million.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. I just wanted you to clarify which.
Exactly. That one. If you look at the lifestyle of that gentleman, it tells you that this is someone who has, lived in this country for years. How come all his dealings was not seen by your government? How? Meanwhile, people around him, people who were cooperating or coordinating with him, some of them were arrested and have even been jailed. But the main, the king of all was left to be moving in this country. He had a whole 4-bedroom house that was made the storage point of cocaine.
I do know that in other jurisdictions, sometimes it takes a long time, sometimes even decades to track one personality who may be at the head of a drug ring and all of that. Since coming into office, have you noted that maybe there were any investigations into such a person before you can say that nothing was done?
I've not noted that. Anyway, that is the answer I can give you. But to move faster to the issue of his invitation or not. Like I said earlier, looking at his position as a ranking member, he doesn't even need invitation in the first place. If I were him, looking at the kind of avenues that you have, like I said, you could have just walked into the office of Honorable Muntaka or call him. You can go to the National Security Coordinator straightforward without any appointment being booked or whatever for you, because you're a ranking member.
Maybe because of our polarized political atmosphere, he felt the best way was to
go to the media with sensitive security matters. Let's assume that
would you call that reckless?
It is. It is absolutely reckless because listen, we need to these people that you are talking about. You are mentioning these cases because you want us to go after them and arrest them. If it's true that they came in or they delivered anything, this is against the law and they need to be arrested. Now, based on this numerous media engagement that you have done, do you think if it is true that they came to deliver anything to somebody here in this country, that person is waiting for us to come arrest him? The person will be no more. I was once a police officer. So when it comes to these things, I understand it better. Nobody will be sitting in his house waiting for you to I know that this thing that they're talking about is my case. And the person will be sitting there waiting for you to come and arrest me tomorrow. He will.
So in other words, you call it reckless because by his actions, he could have compromised
exactly.
The you would have done.
Exactly. That is why reasonably, as a ranking member, you should have just called your colleagues or, go to the agency that you think needs to know this. And immediately investigation should have been, would have commenced. If you knew something that we don't know, we are not God to know everything that is happening in this country. We rely on our people, we rely on intelligence, we rely on investigations. So if there is something happening, and maybe the Honorable Member of Parliament knows that we don't know, you can know because you are a ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee.
He says he also had intelligence. That's why he also put those things out.
And your intelligence didn't tell you that, or you didn't inform you that as a ranking member, relate to the intelligence organization to pick it up and then investigate. Oh. But rather to sit and then give the information out in the media and expect us to go and chase the air now.
Just by extension, just briefly, on the legal, framework of things, the operators of these flights, right, could they take us on in any shape or form on the back of some of these allegations?
It depends. Well, if I'm not holding brief for them, but if it happens that they take it serious, that maybe the honorable member is making allegations against them that they know very well it's not true, they can take him on. They can take him on. That one is
as an individual.
Sorry?
Him as an individual.
Oh, of course. He's the one who has come to say things about them. About their aircraft, which can be or may not be. So if they think that whatever somebody is saying about them, looking at their corporate image and every other thing, they want to go after the person, they can do that. But that one is left to them and their lives.
It lies in their bosom. It's a private entity. Before Sweetie comes in, just a quick follow-up. You were talking about the invitation or no invitation. I just want clarity. You say that no one should have even invited him. He should have volunteered.
Ordinarily, yes.
What is the real state? Is there any invitation? Is he going to, have you interacted with him? Is he going to collaborate with you to get to the bottom of this matter?
Okay, so personally, or would have end as NACOC, we have no. But what I knew or what I know is that the National Security Coordinator was coordinating the team that was going to investigate the matter since the president issued a directive. And I knew very well that he was going to be, asked to appear before us and give us every information. Because that's the starting point of every investigation. The one who is saying whatever must first appear before you, give you every information that he has or she has. And based on that, persons that need to be called, agencies that needs to be called will then be called afterwards. So that is supposed to be the starting point. I've heard him saying on other platforms that even if we invite him, he will not appear, and that we can come. In fact, even last Saturday, he was saying that we should come and arrest him on your station. Is it Newsfar?
But there had also been some claim that he could be arrested.
Oh, of course, I said it this morning on the platform that the way he's going about these things, he will leave us with no option than to go after him. Since you don't
go after him in which sense?
As in arrest you.
He's a member of parliament.
Well,
he has certain.
We know. The protocols will be followed. That I like the word. It's a privilege. It's not a right.
All right.
Right. Still on Reverend Ntim Fordjour, but the main issue really is that 350 million cocaine bust in March.
Oh, is it the one?
No, the one in, is it Pedu? Yeah, Pedu Junction.
Okay, that one was coming from Western.
Right.
And then we arrested in Central.
That's there. I know that the two suspects were supposed to be in court on the 2nd of this month. 2nd
of
April, yes. Okay. Have they had their day?
No, that prosecution is being done by BNI, not us.
Okay, great.
So
NIB.
NIB.
So, thank you, NIB.
What's the latest information we have on this? Because we know that a series of investigations were conducted. We went to his house, recovered some 13 more bags and all that. What is it? Because
Which one are you referring to?
This same case, Reverend Ntim Fordjour is alleging that an NDC member of, an NDC member of parliament or an NDC member is involved. And
NDC member of parliament?
No, yes, an NDC parliamentary candidate. And he's involved. And he has about $150 million in part of that cocaine bust, which is like 3.3 tons, of cocaine.
Which one is it? Is it the Central Region one?
Yes, Pedu Junction.
And that he mentioned.
Ntim Fordjour says.
Relax, please, I just want to get it right.
Okay.
He mentioned that an NDC parliamentary candidate.
Yes.
Who is that person?
He didn't give us a name,
you see,
but said that I asked for updates first, and then we can get into the details.
No, but I've told you that that matter is being handled, the prosecution is being done by the BNI.
Right.
So the NIB.
Right.
So they can speak to that part, whether or not.
So you do not know whether or not these two suspects have had their day in court?
You know what I'm saying? It is being done by NIB, and I'm not with the NIB.
But it was a joint operation. You updated as and when something happens?
What we did for them was to confirm that the thing was indeed cocaine.
Okay.
But the arrest and the detention of the exhibit itself was done by NIB.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can speak to it.
Now we have a member of parliament alleging that it is an NDC. The ruling government has some people in there who are involved in this.
Permit me to quote what Ntim Fordjour said, and then you can respond to it. He says, it was an NDC parliamentary candidate who owns that $150 million. Mind you, it's $350 million. He says, $350 million. Out of it, it was an NDC parliamentary candidate who owns that $150 million bit of the cocaine. So when we are bringing these exposés, it is expected that the NDC will be so uncomfortably frustrated and in their attempt would just come at my person. But I am not perturbed about that. This is quoting him.
Hold on. The thing is 350, but you are quoting 150.
Yes, he's saying that out of it.
Yeah.
Out of the 350,
a portion of 150 million.
150 is for an NDC
parliament.
Are you saying you've not listened to Reverend Ntim Fordjour on these allegations?
No, but how? No, wait. How did he get to know that the 150 million part of the cocaine is for an NDC candidate? Because the thing was arrested in bulk.
I'm sure Ntim Fordjour's response would be intelligence.
This thing is getting. Okay. You see, that's what I'm saying, that he will leave us with no option than to arrest him. Because this kind of thing that he's saying, I don't get it. All NDC parliamentary candidates they have names. Who is that candidate? Where is he? Which constituency did he or she contest? Why can't you tell us this?
But he does say at the end, he says we should expect them to say worse things.
You expect who?
The NDC. But this is where it gets interesting. He says there will be further things that will be released to the public.
We are waiting
so you say he should come to the appropriate authorities. He says he's going to release more things to the public.
No, yes. So you see, he has decided to deal with the public and not to deal with the agencies. He preferred that he can be, washing his dirty linens to the public. Instead of meeting the appropriate agencies who can do arrests, who can do investigations, who can do prosecutions. He doesn't want them to do it. He wants the general public who cannot go and arrest to rather hear the matter. That's why I keep telling you that you give us no option than to arrest him. Because this thing that he's doing, I don't get it.
At the risk
These
of
are
sounding...
sensitive issues. But the way you are training them out there, you are even going to make investigations about this matter. It's even difficult. Who does that?
When you say that he must be arrested, we will arrest him, it sounds as if we can't blow whistles anymore in the country. When someone says he has intelligence, and then he comes to, yes, perhaps his approach was wrong, a presser, maybe he could have gone to the appropriate authorities, and then this would have been done without blowing it in a public space like this. But be that as it may, he has made these allegations. International communities are also weighing in on the conversation, saying we should take this seriously. As we speak, what are you saying to us right now in terms of all these allegations that Reverend Ntim Fordjour is making? add the 350 million one to it. What is the status? What are you telling us right now? That these are all fabricated lies? Is that what you're saying?
He didn't bring out the 350. It was arrested by us and published in the media.
Yes,
and
now he's saying that it is members of the ruling government are involved.
The matter was the people were arrested on their way to Accra, not in Ntim Fordjour's intelligence. The BNI and NACOC did their work in Central Region, arrested them, and made it known to the media or to the public through the media.
I want us to step away from Reverend Ntim Fordjour for a second and tell us the most updated information you have on all these busts, right? To bring some sort of clarity to the matter.
So what I know is that the 350 million worth of cocaine which was arrested in the Central Region, it was on its way from the Western, heading towards Accra. At Central Region or in Central Region, they were arrested. Persons who were, on board of the vehicle are definitely going to be the initial suspects. So they were arrested. They were detained by the BNI. Sorry, I keep saying BNI. They are named, they have to go back to the BNI.
Right.
They are arrested by the NIB. And then alongside, in collaboration with us or our men in the central part of the country. And then the item was tested. And indeed, we got to know that it was cocaine. The value normally, based on our work, we were able to ascertain its value.
Okay.
So the value was ascertained, and then we got to know that it's worth about $350 million. Okay. I know that the parties have not been released and they are under investigations as well as prosecution. So that's what I can say in regards to that. And I can say here that it has got nothing to do with Ntim Fordjour. It was our work that we were doing ordinarily or originally. He is just going on fishing expedition and just picking on matters that are even happening and adding it to his so-called, business allegations or accusations that he is doing.
Okay, so
having said that, the matter of he picking intelligence on something that the international community come in, we don't even need the international community to come in. Because the president of the land had already spoken. Immediately he made this allegation.
Okay.
Asking that the appropriate steps should be taken.
Okay.
You are the one making the allegation. You said you suspect something. On suspicion, you give the people or the person or that the suspicious act to the appropriate institution, be it the police or whoever. This is what I have. Take it and work on it. And reasonably, that institution, even if it's not within their ambit, they will refer it to the appropriate institution who has the mandate to work on such, intel or suspicious or whatever act, and then they will go ahead and then investigate it. Where does there need to make any arrest? We go ahead and arrest.
Okay.
But you didn't do any of these things. You chose a different avenue to go and do.
Let's pause on Reverend Ntim Fordjour for a second. So, in March alone, March 18th, we had this 2.1 million Nigerian guy.
That's the Nigerian guy, yeah.
And then on the 4th of March, there was one bus, which you say it is the work of the NIB and you has nothing to do with the Central Region one. Now, if we are seeing these busts coming into the public domain, and these are hard drugs, cocaine, we are talking about, does it make any sense that there may be reasonable chance that we are returning back to that place where Ghana was known as a, I don't want to use the word the cocaine coast the way people are saying it, but are we having a cocaine problem, a drug problem? Do you think we're getting there?
No, but you see...
and this is just March. Look at the number of busts, the quantity of drugs that have come into the country.
I've just quoted your own news, your own institution's website, telling you what the British ambassador or high commissioner to Ghana said regarding drug dealings in 2022, when Ntim Fordjour's party was in government. So if there is anything to be worried about, we should have been worried from 2020, not today. Today you are hearing these things because we have decided that anything that we get, we will not hide it from Ghanaians like they were doing. We will make it known to Ghanaians for them to see the work that we are doing. This Nigerian thing, we arrested it. We used a whole day from morning to about 5 p.m. before we brought him to the office, searching, moving from one house to the other. We could have decided to hide it from the public. But no, we know that we are representing the people. And for that reason, they must know the work that we are doing. And then,
it wouldn't even all go well for you because you came to office on the back of accountability, transparency, and all that. The question I'm asking you is, in the face of all these, do we have a drug problem?
We don't have a drug problem, but it tells you that we are working.
You are working.
Exactly. If you are not working, you wouldn't be hearing this things.
But they keep coming into the country.
But robberies and every other crime is still in the country. People are still stealing. There are laws against stealing.
Right.
There are laws against assault. But every now and then we are getting assault case. There are laws against selling of red.
So what proactive...
It's prohibited, but people are still doing it.
Great, so that's like reactive. It comes in, you intercept. What proactive measures are you putting in place? The proactive measure is that
our men are all over. That is why when we intercepted at the port, at the Tema port, we didn't even allow it to cross, even though they said it was going to Niger. We said, no, it will not go. We have seized it. That is a proactive measure. We didn't allow it to get to Niger, find a different mode of entering back into Ghana before we come and arrest you. We will not even allow the thing to cross. The 350 million one was coming to Accra. It was destined to come to Accra. We didn't allow it to get to Accra. We got to in the middle of the way. That is proactiveness.
Okay, so, and indeed that proactivity would be essential because, again, if you go back to the BBC Africa Eye investigation, some countries have said that Ghana, in some ways, is used as a conduit for these, the Tafa dolls and the rest, and then they are shipped from there to Nigeria and other places, and those come through the ports, right? But let me go back to Ntim Fordjour a bit. I have one of those commenting saying, Ghana is a joke. You're here ranting instead of picking him, that is Ntim Fordjour, to provide evidence and all of that. I just want to break it down here. We have a Whistleblower Act. Act 720/2006. It reminds me of Edward Snowden and what he did and the consequences he faced. What does it say about whistleblowing and maybe the actions of Reverend Ntim Fordjour, as far as you know it?
My brother, you getting to know something and then exposing it is good. Because, like I said, we are not God to know everything that is happening at every corner of this country, Ghana. We can't see everything. So definitely, people will always have some information that you may not have. They walk to you. Police and every other institution, you have informants who will be hearing things or seeing things. They walk to you in secret, come and expose or release those.
Even as a media person, there are people who call.
Exactly. So it is not wrong if you are doing this, or if you get intel or information about certain things, ill behaviors or actions, and then you report or relate with the appropriate institutions. The only worry is what I've mentioned earlier. That's how you did it. Whatever you were saying is illegal, it's wrong, it's against the law. Money laundering is against the law. Cocaine dealings or whatever is against the law. The act is here. Okay? So whenever you hear or you see these things, the appropriate thing is to get the people who are involved arrested and prosecuted. But the mode that you use in communicating this, my question is very simple. Again, do you think those people that you are alleging that they did that are still sitting or sleeping in their rooms waiting for us to come and arrest them? Based on this noise that you keep on making.
So you keep pointing to the fact that he would have compromised, even if there were any such instance, he would have compromised whatever evidence there was. Which brings me to my next question, because I have heard the Deputy AG, for example, Justice Fremsai, talk about certain allegations that are made by, minority leader, among others, from time to time. You remember when there was a visit to the house of the former governor of the central bank and the allegations on the back of these. The person makes the comment that if it were an ordinary Ghanaian, you see, that I'm coming back to that. What is it? There's a burden of proof, right? What is the burden of proof in this instance legally? And if someone like an MP is not able to meet the burden of proof, then what? Is it that, or no, MP, and so
okay, I agree. I have something that I used to say that they say equality before the law, but it's not. It's in practical sense, it's not really the case, because not every. It's not really the case, because it's not every other Ghanaian that has that kind of immunity or whatever that the members of parliament have. You understand? But they have it. But we who send them or ask them to go and represent us there, we don't have that kind of immunity. So that brings, that answers the point that we are not really all equal before the law. But that's just by the way. Now, the burden of proof matter. It's indeed true that the burden of proof is on the one who is accusing. Of course. Because, for instance, if the Attorney General goes to court to go and prosecute someone for stealing, the burden of proof is not on the one that you said has stolen. It's on you who is saying that he has stolen. You have to, that is what they say, that prove beyond reasonable that indeed this person stole this iPhone. So the burden of proof is on Ntim Fordjour. And that is why I wish that he had done the reasonable thing and not what he is doing.
Right. Let's be fair. To say reasonable, obviously he felt that was reasonable.
It's not.
So let's be reasonable. Let's be fair to him, actually. But in that regard,
I like him. I'm just trying to be very cautious with my words and not to be too harsh on him.
Since the word arrest and all of that has come in, he's a member of parliament. He has his privileges, but no one, not even the president, is above the law. So what happens? I'm just trying to push to find out what happens. Or is it that if a certain category of person says something, does something, it's okay. But if the ordinary man does something, there will be... What happens now?
Oh, what I've told you now, is that we are supposed to be doing investigations on the matter. He is supposed to give us information that we need. What we saw rather was a letter that he was asking that we, when I say we, I mean NACOC and other BNI and co, we should appear before his committee and rather come and give them updates instead of he coming to us. That is the letter that he wrote, asking his chairman that the chairman should invite us to appear before them and come and give them information on the three things, the central region cocaine. There was the first one, I've forgotten that one. But the second,
Pedu Junction?
No, yeah,
the Nigerian guy, 2.1 billion.
No, the three.
We have the 350 million.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
2.1 million.
No, 1 second, sorry.
I mean,
he mentioned three things. He said, okay, the letter is here. The first point is that, okay, so the supplement action, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, so that was done.
Right.
Yeah, he wants us to come and give them an update on that. The second one is the 350 million one. And then the third one is the aircraft.
Okay, yeah.
So he wanted us to come and give them update on these things instead of he coming to give us the intel or the information that he has on especially this aircraft matter that we are talking about.
Saying,
so if
Mohammed will not go to the mountain.
Yeah, the mountain will go. So I was just coming to that. Once he is failing, and once he has said on other platforms that he will not appear before us, he will leave us with no option than to, strike the law.
Is that in the works?
In that what?
Is that?
The worst case scenario, that's what we do.
Is that move in the works? Are you seeing that since because he said, I will not come?
Yes, he has said this.
But he said that I will not come.
So if that,
I just want to...
Especially if your force is applied, my brother.
So especially where, and my apologies, especially where he is saying now that he has more that he'll be putting out into the...
We are waiting for that.
If he doesn't do that, what then happens?
If he doesn't put out more in the public.
Yeah.
We are not even asking to put out any information to the public. So that one is up to him. If you put more, it's your own problem. If you don't put more, it's your own problem.
From the standpoint of misinformation.
I get you, but that is why you see, it's not every action that you put up that you are very conscious that this is not against the law. There are those that you will do that at the blind side of you, it's against the law, but you are not aware. Until you are, the law is being read to you that, hey, this thing that you did is against ABCD. He thinks that everything that he's doing, he has a right to do it. But let me tell you, even the rights that are enshrined in the Constitution, none of them is absolute.
Yeah, rights come with responsibilities. Okay, you go ahead.
Ben,
go ahead.
Because I was hoping to move away from here.
You're moving away.
Yeah.
Then let me just ask you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cocaine.
I like the way you are making me turn left and right.
It's good. We've sandwiched you. The cocaine, the money, fake money, and all of that. Where are they?
The supplement
all of
one.
them that we've seen in recent.
Well, that one.
Where are they now?
The supplement one was. It was done by the national security. So as it were, they have their own investigative team that their investigations for them.
With the intelligence you have, do you know where some of this is?
Some of what?
The contraband, basically, the fake money and the...
Oh, but we don't handle those things, so I cannot speak to those things. But I know that the arrest was done by national security, so they are handling them.
That's why I said that per your intelligence, you work with these institutions.
Oh, but no, I understand your work so much. I know what you are trying to get. But this one, you try to save me in a way, in that I don't want to give you every information. What I know is that national security is the one who went to arrest or did the raid at the Sapperman, around Amasaman area or something. And they are the one doing the investigations. It's not within my
And all of this is intact.
area.
Nothing will turn to Kukunte, right? All of this is intact, right?
Well, the cocaine that are in my possession are not turning to Kukunte. So that one I know.
That reminds me, it's not my main question to you, but do you think that banning marijuana and cocaine, do you think that's the right approach? The last time Latif...
The distraction thing that
last year, you saw Latif was at the ground when we were banning. This is herbs, marijuana. Aren't you all going to get high eventually and stumble and fall somewhere? Is that the best approach to destroying narcotics?
To the best of my knowledge, those who have been there seeing the distraction have never fallen because of it.
How would they know?
Have you been there before?
Oh, I haven't. But
did you get high?
There was one that they did, I think last week or so, if I'm right. I think last week they did one, because I saw a memo on it. I wish I had gotten time, but we had a lot of engagement, so I couldn't go there. But some of the things, as a deputy director general who's in charge of more or less of operations in general, I always want to get some kind of experience with this thing. So one day I'll be there to see how how they do this.
You want to witness the
yes, I want to
inhale the smoke.
Oh no, I'm not going to.
Right. I know we started by mentioning it, but I'm very interested in this RED and abusing of it. I know that the Ministry of Youth and Development launched RED Me Stop, an initiative.
I was there that day.
Great. How crucial is the abuse, and really, what are the steps? Be as specific as possible. The steps that you're taking to ensure that we nip this drug abuse menace in the bud, and specifically on tramadol and the related drugs.
So first, tramadol is permissible to use, but only with the 50 and 100 mg maximum. Anything beyond that is unlawful or is illegal.
Yes.
Now, what we are doing is that we have our men across the country who are day in and day out doing investigations or picking intel on people who have opened licensed chemical shops or drugstores over the counter and those things, who are selling these things. Like I said, just about a week ago, we picked an intel from Western North region, a gentleman or a shop which was trading in that. Immediately, I dispatched, or by the directives of the Director General, we dispatched a team from Accra here, all the way to Western North. It was a Sunday. They went to arrest the person, brought them back. The owner plus the attendant were all arrested and brought to Accra. They were granted bail some few days ago pending, court. So it's one step that we are also picking up. There are other intels that we have for other regions as well, which I will not mention, because if I do, they will also be on alert. But we have it all the way back down here in Accra that we are going to strike on them as well to also get them arrested. And you know, one funny thing is that because they know it's illegal, do you know they don't display them on counter? This very one that we went to arrest, it was in a bag. It's being kept in a bag in the shop.
Yeah.
So it tells you that the person trading in it knows very well that whatever I'm doing is not right. Yet
Sometimes the Pharmaceutical Association, they send inspectors round to, so obviously they wouldn't display.
They wouldn't see it. They wouldn't see it. They don't display. They keep them in the bag. This one that we arrested, it was in a bag, in the shop. But our men had already gone there and picked the intel already, so we knew what we were going for. So even though it's not on display, we know that this particular shop does this. And indeed, when we got there that day and arrested the attendant alongside the owner who was in his house that day, went to arrest him also. We got that bag and found out that indeed there were some red tablets in it.
How do you measure impact? Maybe this is my last question.
Okay.
How do you measure the impact of your operations? If, for example, we were at 100% in terms of drug abuse, particularly RED and related tramadol and the rest, based on these initiatives and intel and all that you're doing, has it come down? Have we seen a reduction so far?
Oh, we have not conducted any kind of statistics or survey on that to be able to ascertain whether or not it's coming down. But I know that the very program that you mentioned, which was led by the Youth Development Ministry, Opare made it known to me that but you even want us to be approaching the units or the other tertiary institutions, because we reckon that it's the youth that are engaging themselves in this more. So we'll be taking the education and other things to them, to their doorsteps. On the other hand, also, NACOC as an institution, we have also commenced our media educations. I know very well that even yesterday they were on UTV in the morning to do some kind of education. We'll be happy if you also give us some slot or some time to come in and also do it with you.
Right. Ben.
Just two final bits. That video you showed me.
Yeah.
Did you take it on your phone?
Yeah, my own phone.
You took it on your phone?
Yeah, myself. It's not sent. I don't have any social media on that.
Can you show me that video again? I just want to look at the date, stamp on it, and find out what exactly. Just to.
I understand you. Don't worry.
Our viewers don't have the benefit of seeing it. So this is the 16th of March. Okay, and let me just cross-check. Backroom team, if you can help me here, the date when Ntim Fordjour made this claim. Just to clarify. Actually, I'm doing that. It was an oversight. One of our viewers actually prompted me that I should check with you on the date stamp. So let's see. We do know that the claim was made recently. So it's been just about what? A week plus, right?
Yeah, a little over a week.
A little over a week. So if you look at this,
What
March,
date is that?
March I'm not getting the exact.
I'll get it for you. Don't worry, I'll get it for you.
But this was what, the 16th of March, which means that
I think I resumed on the 14th or so. Yeah.
Today is the 8th day of April, which means even if you go back, it would definitely be at the very tail end of March. And you have this, which is dated the 16th of March.
Like I said, I resumed on Friday. I think that Friday, if I'm correct, was 14th. It was the weekend of that Friday that I resumed.
So basically 2 days after that.
We did, we did it, yeah.
This happened. Okay, so that clarifies that indeed this was taken before these allegations.
Oh, of course. Like I said, it's before, yeah.
Right.
It's before.
Just to conclude the conversation, so moving forward, what's the strategy?
I will advise my good friend and brother that he should cooperate with us if he really wants us to get to the root of this matter. First of all, to apprehend or arrest any other person that is involved in his so-called suspicious act. He should cooperate with us, the security institutions or agencies, to make sure that we get the appropriate or the required or the right informations and then act on it. It's different where you've given to us and we are failing to act. Unlike where you have failed to give us the requisite information, but rather throwing it in the air, giving information to the supposed suspects that you think we should be going after, prompting them on what is happening, giving them the opportunity to even abscond. Yet you are still saying that you want government to investigate. How do you want that to investigate when you keep on exposing things that the so-called people that we are supposed to go and investigate will get to know and then abscond?
And if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, I mean, the appropriate action will be taken. I've told you. There are several options to go for.
Will he be arrested?
There are several options to go for. It's one of the options.
It's one of the options.
Yeah.
Again, I'm looking at the presidency's response on the allegations of suspicious flights. That's from 7 days ago. So that also corroborates the timestamps, which will tell you that these allegations from just over a week ago, which means that it couldn't have been anywhere close to this time, the 16th of March, when this video was actually...
And you see, I can even show you to confirm yourself that I don't have WhatsApp and those things on this phone. So it's not like somebody took it and then sent it to me and I said, no, I took it myself. So if you go to the video's point of, and if you know your iPhone, you can always check even the timing and everything that I took the video.
I have seen, yeah. I saw the date on
exactly. So
on the video.
It's not a lie.
Which means
I will not lie for anything.
Anyway, sweetie, it's been good having you.
Yes.
And we can only wish you the very best.
Thank you, my brother.
Keep busting and keep ensuring that you do the right thing.
Of course.
No cocotte affairs.
But I mean, why we have you here?
The busting will keep on. I mean, it's something that, in fact, my general or my boss, the director general, will always tell him that keep arresting. In fact, he said his words. Let me just quote him. He said, "Any week that ends without we arresting or making news, I get sick." So the arrest, we will keep on making more arrests. Once we get the information and our intel, we establish that it's true. We always strike, and then once we arrest you, we will not keep you guys in the dark.
Keep our streets safe.
I want to give you the opportunity to speak to the young people watching, because as part of the things on your website, you talk about no discrimination, the youth need help and all that. So what's the message? Because you are representing the narcotic.
Yes, the youth need help. Those who have taken the various drugs and they've gotten to the point, as someone would say, the point of no return. What we do is to take them to some kind of rehabilitation. We assist in that form. We, on our part, to educate those who have started. That is dangerous. Avoid it or disease yourself from getting involved in these things, because it will destroy you. In fact, from all videos, pictures, and everything that I've seen, I've not seen one of those people or those young men and women who have been engaging themselves in this who is looking good or who is looking nice. Nobody. I've not seen any. All that we see are those that they get. There was one that I even saw just about a week ago. The person almost fell in some soup. Why will you kill yourself because of illicit drugs? It's going to damage you. It's going to destroy you.
Right.
You can be a future president tomorrow. You can be a future minister. You can be a future director general or deputy director general of Narcotics Control Commission. So if you don't stop this, that opportunity for you to become that big person tomorrow will not be available for you.
Okay.
So we are only asking them that they should do all that they can. And because even the sellers know that the thing that they are doing is wrong, that's why they can even display it on their own counter. For you to be bold and walking and point to that I want this kind of drug. But they're hiding it. That alone speaks to the fact that it's wrong.
So don't go into it.
Okay. Last clarity. This rehabilitation you talk about,
yes.
Is it sponsored by your outfits or they have to pay for it themselves?
Oh, no, we do it.
You do. So it's free.
We do it.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. Lawyer. Is it Elvis Twum Barimah?
Alexander.
Oh, Alexander.
You have given me a new name.
Yeah. So I'll call you Elvis now. He's Deputy Director, Narcotics Control Commission, and he joined us to put all the issues in perspective. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm grateful.
And before we go, Ghana, let's talk about water tanks, because you do know the secret to real water storage. It's simple. If you don't have the tortoise on your tank, it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is a champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So whether rain or shine, Syntex tank has got your back. So my people, go outside, check your tank, and if it doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Call this number, 0244 335 168. Call this number to buy one or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough. That's not all.
Well, I must ask you, are you ready to dream, dare, and deliver in the world of IT? Then I have good news for you. Look no further than the Jackson Institute of Technology, the only NIIT authorized training center in Ghana. At JIT, we provide world-class training in IT for individuals and corporate organizations, equipping you with industry-relevant skills in software development, cybersecurity, networking, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, and more. But there's still more. We offer globally recognized certifications, practical job-ready training, and flexible hybrid learning options, which allows you to study online or on-site. Our expert instructors ensure hands-on learning experiences that prepare you for success in today's digital world. We are located conveniently on the Ring Road, near Circle, in the heart of Accra's Central Business District, and in Kumasi at the Jackson Educational Complex HQ, Ayediase, near the KNUST. Now, JIT also provides easy access for students and corporate clients, and our state-of-the-art auditorium is also available for corporate events, seminars, and training sessions. All you have to do now, pick up your phone, call or WhatsApp 0596 996 037 or 0596 996 038, or again 0552 714 635, or visit our website www.jit.edu.gh. JIT, your gateway to a thriving IT career. And always remember, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We'll be back after the break to lead the way in the next big story. We'll be right back. Talking about women-friendly workplaces. How friendly is your workplace? Whether you are the employee or the employer. Well, that's an initiative, a report that has been launched by Confidence Ghana on women-friendly workplaces, or workspaces, if you like. And joining the conversation, we have Ntim Fordjour. She's a senior researcher at Confidence, and Josephine Boateng, head of programs at Confidence. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a Confidence morning. I know you've done this, you had a main program last month together with Standard Chartered and Tell It Moms. Just tell us about the collaboration and why we are even talking about women-friendly workplaces. Josephine, I'll start with you.
So at Confidence, we try to identify issues that are pertinent to society but underaddressed, and we use our research to back it up. And so for the Women-Friendly Workplaces report, we did this together with Standard Chartered as part of the International Women's Day celebration, and we collaborated with Tell It Moms.
You'd have to speak up a little for us.
Okay, we collaborated with Tell It Moms as well to reach about 2,000 women and identify the experiences in relation to the practices and policies that are available within their organizations, and that's what led to the collaboration. It was really, really good. We had a lot of stakeholders on board, from the governments, from development organizations. We had the media there as well. We had academia, and it was a really great engagement.
Naomi, how did you find this collaboration? How did it go?
Well, it was an eye-opener because we started the research with a quantitative perspective where we had predefined research questions. But during the forum, there were a lot of insights that came up that opened our eyes to look at other issues that we had not even considered. And so I would say that the session was really
What motivated this? Why this research at this point in time?
So at Confidence, women are a strategic focus for us. And so for every International Women's Day, we try to come up with a way to celebrate it. And this year, the theme for the International Women's Day was to accelerate action. And we wanted to pick out an issue, as Josephine said, that is under-addressed but very critical. And so looking at all the issues that we discuss about women, usually we focus on discrimination, pay parity, and all that. But there's also an issue about child penalty, where sometimes women become disadvantaged because of childbirth. And so we didn't want to look at only childbirth, but rather broaden it to look at all reproductive health issues that women face at work, and what supports are available, and how do women even perceive that support that is given to them. And that one was to also help us trigger advocacy, to get people talking about how we can make the workplace more friendly for women to thrive, aside from looking at getting them into leadership positions or talking about pay parity.
I don't know whether there's anything you'd like to add to that.
I think mainly another thing was that we try to also create visibility for the good policies that are available.
Visibility.
Exactly.
Okay.
And from the research, you realize that, she'll talk about it very shortly, but you realize that maternity leave is highly adopted. It's widespread across public, across private sector. And that's something that I'm not saying we're not expecting, but it was quite shocking that for all the other issues, you don't have a lot of people or organizations very interested in them. But maternity leave, the government has been able to enact this policy, and it's cut across. Everyone is adopting it, which was a really good thing. So we try to also highlight and spotlight some of the good things that are happening, and encourage the government and other organizations that are at the helm of enacting these policies to do more. Yeah.
As an advocate myself, I mean, you started talking about some of the issues. Gender barco issues, there are so many issues to unpack when it comes to this. But what would you say are the key findings of this report?
So we set out this mission with three main objectives. To one, identify the reproductive health issues that women face at work. And to two, identify the support or policies that are available for women in terms of these reproductive health issues. And then finally, to also understand women's perspective about the support that they get from their workplaces in terms of the reproductive health issues. So picking the first research objective, which is the reproductive health issue, we had a number of issues that we presented to our respondents, and some of them included pregnancy, stillbirth, miscarriage, alternative pathways to parenthood like surrogacy and adoption. And we realized that for our respondents, about almost 80% face at least one of these issues and more.
Almost 80%?
Yes, face some of these issues at work. And other issues that came up that we didn't even list included even finding a partner, menopause, children with special needs. So as I mentioned earlier, it's an eye-opener that when we talk about reproductive health issues, it goes beyond what we can even think of. There are other issues that are more important to women that we may not even consider. And then two, the issue is that some of these reproductive health issues are age-specific. So we realized that for women who responded to our survey who were under the age of 34, the main issue for them was dysmenorrhea, which is excessively painful.
Oh, wow.
But for women above 35, the issues that were common were pregnancy, trying to conceive, miscarriage, and stillbirth. So it gives us a hint about the usual statement we make about the career clock and the biological clock. And it's something that we need to think about. Maybe women in their early career ages will not be considering pregnancy. But as they get to maybe 35 and above, that is when they start to consider getting pregnant, and that is when they face the other issues. And that is why the research is important for us to take decisions to support women at the workplace. The second issue about the support that are available, as Josephine mentioned, because of policy, it appears that a lot of the women who responded to the survey said they had access to paid maternity leave. And the labor law gives the 12 weeks maternity leave with pay. And 92%.
That's 3 months.
Yes, 92% of the respondents said they benefited from that.
That's a good thing.
Yes, that is a very good thing. So that shows us the power of policy. So imagine there's a policy on stillbirth, there's a policy on miscarriage that is backed by law. It shows that organizations may be compelled or will be compelled to follow these issues. There was also one interesting finding. I mentioned that apart from pregnancy, the second issue that women face was dysmenorrhea, excessively painful menstruation. However, the research shows that 80% of women who responded to the survey said there was no workplace support for menstruation. And we began to think, is it the cultural issue that surround miscarriage, surround menstruation, that even when you want to mention it, you say, sebi. We don't really want to talk about it. Is that the reason why menstruation is not really supported? For those who had support, it will interest you to know that the support wasn't something very big. It included flexible working hours, remote work, and even off days. And for women who benefited from it, they shared that it was very beneficial to them. Now, looking at the perception issue, which is the last research objective.
So maybe, of course, the final point.
The final point. Yeah, so for the perception, we also realized that women who had been pregnant and given birth mentioned that 15% of them mentioned that their partners benefited from paternity leave. And a lot of them, almost close to 70%, said the paternity leave was very beneficial. And that is a perception that is something that we can take it on. Another thing that came up was that a lot of the other supports that we were looking at, menstruation, miscarriage, and all that, people mentioned that they felt neutral about the support. And that is something that going forward, we want to know why they felt neutral. Is it that the policies are available, but they are not impactful enough, or the support is not what they even need? So we will do a further research on that.
Okay. Let me come to Josephine. Of course, it's just yesterday we were talking to the World Health Organization's representative on even maternal mortality. We would expect by 2030 to get to about 70. We're at, 250. We've halved, where we were at the start of the millennium. But in all of this, based on your research, what are you hoping businesses, employers, policymakers will use this for? What are your expectations?
Okay, so in going forward, we are looking at this beyond the research. We are looking at research for impact. We are looking at research that is driving actual change. And we are taking it from 3 angles. So if you look at the government, what can the government do to ensure that we're creating workplaces that support women, that are inclusive enough to ensure that women's reproductive health issues and career advancement is at the heart of what they're doing, right? The government can support, as Naomi said, by ensuring that just as they've done for maternity, these other issues that are not brought on the forefront are also drawn into the policy net, right? So if there's a policy that's addressing dysmenorrhea, or is addressing stillbirth, miscarriages, surrogacy, adoption, right? Express policies, then the businesses feel compelled to be able to adopt them. From the business angles, we are looking at, these conversations are not conversations that are in the limelight or mainstream conversations. So for the organizations, it's for them to voluntarily adopt, the conversation and say that we are putting together frameworks that ensure that our human resource policies cover women in this angle, right? So that is what we are looking at. And when you look at Stanchart, what they've done is quite impressive. They have policies in place that women go on maternity leave for 5 months, straight up. Paternity leave is available, you can take it up. Surrogacy, adoption, all that, they have policies that they are putting in place. If we have other organizations that can do this as well, then we're creating a movement and we're ensuring that these issues are brought to the forefront. So that's what we're looking at. For partners that are within this space as well, development organizations, we are looking to collaborate with them to be able to help some of these private organizations who are not so big to also carve out frameworks that support. To also
I've personally had friends who have suffered dysmenorrhea, endometriosis, among others. And if you see, I mean, there are times when they have these bouts, it can be crazy, so to speak. Just a final bit, give me 30 seconds. Confidence, you're doing this. I know that you've dabbled in other things in the past. What's the end game in terms of your broader mission in this respect?
Like I said, we're looking to collaborate with organizations. So from the government angle, from private sector, from development organizations, how can we all collaborate to ensure that we're
calling all of them on board?
Visibility for this. We are helping them build the frameworks for organizations to carry this out and create the
Naomi, final words.
So as Josephine mentioned, the private sector or the companies also has a role to play. But we are not also saying that there shouldn't be support for them, because then if the government doesn't come in, the woman becomes very expensive to employ. And so a lot of organizations will run away from employing women. And I'll share an experience. Very briefly. I was employed when I was pregnant, and I had the opportunity to go on maternity leave with pay and still work from home for a year. And yes, within that period, even get promoted. So how many of my type can organizations employ? So if you don't trigger the advocacy in the right way, then the woman becomes very expensive to employ. And so they will prefer to pick men over women.
What I will say, though, as an advocate, is that you go into some institutions and sometimes it is women themselves who say, I don't want to employ women because when they come in Chebiana, which is interesting, and it. Yes. That happens, so you should tackle that as well. Those who joined us for this conversation, Ntim Fordjour is a senior researcher at Confidence, and Josephine Boateng, head of programs at Confidence. And they have this worker or women-friendly workplace report that they've brought to bear, that they are hoping government, businesses, policymakers will bite into. Stick and stay with us. We'll be right back on the AM show. Where you go in Ghana, much more can be done. That much I will say.
Okay. So callers, let's hear from you. We actually have our very first call online. Ellie from Norton. Ellie, good morning.
Hello, follow.
What's up?
It's very good. I'm appreciating what you guys are doing daily. I want to add my thoughts to what is happening.
Ellie wanted to add his thoughts, and unfortunately, the phone decided to subtract his thoughts. Unfortunately,
Ellie, call back. We want to hear you.
We want to hear from you. 0302-211-691, 0302-211-691, extension 2. So call. Let's make the most of the next maybe 6 minutes, and let's know what your thoughts are on everything we've discussed this morning. So crumbling start, and the initiatives to the NACOC situation, cocaine and everything. Do you believe it or not, to what we have now? We have Abdul on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Abdul, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Savannah region. This is Abdul Ghani Mankargo.
Abdul Ghani, what are your thoughts?
Good morning to you, and good morning to your viewers out there. And good morning to Sweetie this morning, Sweetie Aboaje.
Hey!
Because of the fasting, I went for break. But now we finished the fasting, so I'm back again. Having said that, the issue of Ntim Fordjour, you see, sometimes we, the people of this country, when somebody raises a concern, let's give him a ear hearing and give him enough time to express his view, or to let the people of this country know what he's saying about. Let me tell you something. If he has raised a concern about this illegal and other things in this country, and it is against the government, the duty of the government is that they should get a committee to do investigations before. What is the interest of Felix Kwachi or the government? They don't want to tell us the truth, rather defending the government every day, trying to intimidate the man that what he's saying is not true. How can we know it is not true or is true if they didn't form any committee or if they didn't give any chance to the independent body to do investigation on the matter? You are rather defending your government. For what reason? Let the independent body to do investigations about it. When the outcome is out, the people of this country will know the truth or whether it's true or false.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Not, because we are in government, you want to intimidate somebody because he's exposing your bad doing in government. So let's give Ntim Fordjour the right time, hearing, so that the people of this country will listen to him very well and listen to him carefully. You understand what is going on. How many months in government you want to be defended indefensible like that? Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. You can still call 0302-211-691 extension 2. Ntim Fordjour said he would come through with more information. As media people, we are waiting for that information.
We have our next call online. Hi, good morning. Do I still have that call online? Oh, unfortunately we don't. But we want to hear from you. We've only had one caller. Elia, we're waiting back for you to call us back. And let's hear what you have to say on this Reverend Ntim Fordjour issue. Well, we have Alhaji. Alhaji, talk to us. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And you?
Thanks. Very fine, but let's breathe. Thanks for the opportunity. You see, some of us, we are sick and tired of unnecessary tensions in the country. This flight came to Ghana. Nobody knows the reason in which they came. They left. Let's let the matter die and speak on an important issues. One, you see, Ghana is now a country that's like a station. You see, the Nigerians are invading our market. Nobody is talking about it too. The Nigerians are all over, even in our cottages. You go, you see their prostitutes doing prostitution, which is illegal. Nobody is talking about it. And we waste time speak unnecessary issues. Flights coming to Ghana, living with money, drugs, and what have you. Me, I see it to be unnecessary. Let's talk about the issues that affect the Ghanaian.
Well,
they said, all right. I'm coming. Retailing is left for Ghanaians to be done. Now Nigerians are occupying the markets. Nobody is talking anything. Go to the hotels all over. You know what I'm talking about is true. The prostitutes, they are coming every day. Even the villages. You go to a village, you see they are prostitutes, which is illegal. They are doing, nobody is saying anything.
The Ghana Police Service, thank you for your thoughts. The Ghana Police Service is aware there are places, different places in Accra where they know some of these activities go on. I guess we'll direct them there. We have Nicholas on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am well. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ahafo.
All right. Your quick thoughts?
In our local language, the free language, there is a proverb they say that Babia obi anante ashato uduruwa yenturu milka, which is to mean that you should be careful when treading where people have fallen when they are walking. This clearing agent thing that the NDC government is doing today, they should be careful, because that was one of the case Ghanaians used as a standard to judge the MPP government, and we voted them out. Somebody has brought out an allegation that an airbag has flown into the country, landed for over 15 days with suspected, cargo. Instead of the government to investigate and bring out the truth so that the people will know that their hands are clean, We have people like Felix Ofosu-Kwakye and other NDC communicators lavishing what the honorable did, the Reverend Minister did. Last time I was listening to you, Benjamin Akabo, and what do you call him, Sammy Jemfi. Instead of him to address the issue, he was rather addressing what do you call him, Fordjour, and calling him all sorts of names. Reverend Minister, you say you are this, you are that, you are lying. How would you know the person is lying if you have not ascertained the truth? Ghanaians, our eyes are open and we are watching them.
Okay, before you go, that was Samson Ladi engaging Sammy Jemfi, not me. But did you watch the show today when we hosted the deputy director of NACO?
Not the news file. I am talking about it is Sunday evening or what? You and Sammy Jemfi with
it wasn't me.
Fordjour and one other man from Imani, Ghana.
Okay.
On your show.
All right. Thank you.
You remember?
I was not the one. I keep telling you, I wasn't the one who conducted the interview. I just wanted to correct that. I don't know whom you watched, but thank you for sharing your thoughts. That's how we're going to cap it off as far as this segment is concerned.
Yeah.
But you see, sweetie, we must clarify something. I've heard different opinions. Calls for investigations. Investigations are already happening. Ntim Fordjour has every right to speak, but like we were discussing here today, every person who speaks, whether president, MP, or whatever, there's a certain burden of proof and a standard of truth that must be met.
Yeah.
That is all we are asking.
That's the problem. But I just want to remind you to take advantage of that free rehabilitation program from the Narcotics Control Commission. They're saying that if you or someone you know is dealing with drug abuse, you should come to them. They have systems in place to rehabilitate you and wean you off it, because drugs are destroying the lives of young people here in this country. And that's...
We have a birthday?
We do.
Special request. Belated happy birthday to Hannah Ajele Annan. Hey, now Ajele here would have killed me. She would have said I murdered her name. Belated happy birthday to Hannah Ajele Annan, a teller at UMB Sakaman branch. Wishing you success and God's blessings in this new chapter. And it's from Bafo Nimako of the Control and Monitoring Department and the entire Sakaman branch. So, Hannah, belated happy birthday to you. Sweetie.
Thank you all for watching. Up next is JoyNews Desk, served by Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. It's bye for now. See you tomorrow.